$30,000 from nothing.
This is Judge Judy.
Gabrielle Corriette is suing her former friend, Alberto Alberti, for an unpaid loan to pay child support.
Order. All rise. It's case 442 on the calendar, the matter of Corriette versus Alberti. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mr. Alberti, how do you know the plaintiff?
I used to throw like a Latin party in Spokane, Washington, and she was walking down the street and I was promoting, and that's how we met.
And what do you do now?
I'm a barber and I'm a DJ.
You have children?
Yes.
How many?
3.
How old are they?
10, 8, and 2.5.
And who do they live with?
They live with their mom. It's like half and half, pretty much.
Where does their mother live?
In the same town, Spokane, Washington.
Does she work?
Yes.
Are you under a child support order?
Yes.
How much?
It's $430.
How often?
It's once a month.
And how long have you been under the child support order?
Since they were born.
So you never lived with their mother?
I did.
Well, then somebody was cheating somebody. Because if you were living with their mother since they were born, why?
My child was recently born, so her mom suggested her, and I feel like she did it pretty much out of spite, you know what I mean, because...
I don't know what you mean. You said 8, 10, and 2.5, so is what you're telling me you separated when the youngest child was born?
Yes, my oldest.
Okay. And since then you've been under a child support order?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do the children get any sort of government aid?
I don't know exactly what that means.
Welfare, assistance?
No.
Are you sure?
I'm not 100%.
Was there a time when you were in arrears of your child support order?
Yes.
How much in arrears?
They probably came up to be like about $4,000.
How did you know it was about $4,000?
Because I looked into it before we purchased the house.
Did anybody contact you about taking your driver's license away?
No, they didn't.
Do you file tax returns?
Yes, I did.
Did anybody ever take your refund if you were due one?
No.
So you knew the plaintiff and you came into some money.
Yes, ma'am.
How much money did you come into?
About $100,000.
And there had been a time when you and the defendant were involved in a romantic relationship.
Briefly, yes.
And then just friends.
Yes, Your Honor.
And after you came into this mud houses, going into business with him.
Yes, Your Honor.
But when you went to buy the first house to flip, couldn't buy it because he had this outstanding child support debt.
Yes, Your Honor. And I had already put $2,000 to hold the house.
Care about the house. Now, in order to get rid of that $4,000 worth of debt, what did you do?
He came to me and asked if I would pay the debt for him, and once the house sold, he would pay me back.
Does that sound familiar to you?
Yes, Your Honor.
So what I'd like you to do is tell me now, because I don't have to get into the whole mess of she finally brought you out of the house. She gave you $26,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh is not an answer.
Sorry. Yes, Your Honor.
So what I'd like you to tell me is how much money you put into the house.
Approximately $15,000.
$15,000?
Yes, Your Honor.
So let me see. You put in 15, is that right?
No, Your Honor.
How much did he put in?
0, because there was a $20,000 holdback fund for renovations on the house, which he withdrew from to pay the contractors.
You have any proof that you put in $15,000?
I do not have any proof right now, but I gave it to her. And since the house was sold, I actually got rid of the evidence. But I had it all, the expensive that I spent.
That doesn't do anything for me.
Okay.
Nothing. So let me $1,000. And in addition to the $26,000 that she bought you out of the house for, she gave you another $4,000 to pay off your child support. That's $30,000. And you've got nothing there standing there but a reasonably good-looking face, a smile, and what you think is charming. You see, I don't find any of that charming. I find that just to be a taker and a slug. Now, she had no pleasure out of making these 3 children. These were your 3 children. They're your responsibility to pay child support for. The fact that you're a DJ and a barber and primarily in a cash business and don't pay your taxes, which you don't, there's no question that you don't report all the money that you earn. So you're sort of slippery, so they can't attach your salary because you don't get a salary. That's why your arrears went up to $4,000, because otherwise they just scoop in and they attach it. So you're a slippery slug who took advantage of somebody
trying to
who
buy
had
my
come
time
in-
over here,
who
don't
had-
say anything.
who had come into some money. So far, you're ahead of the game $30,000. $4,000 of it was for child support. I haven't heard how much money you made. How much money did you make so far on this adventure with him?
Yeah, I didn't make any money on the house, and if I were to sell it today, I would still take a loss.
Been sold yet, but so far she hasn't made any money, and you're ahead $30,000.
Okay, so pretty much how everything started up is the offer was presented to me.
I'm just asking you, is that a yes or a no? So far, you're ahead $30,000 on this deal because she came into some money.
How can I be ahead when the house is worth more than $3,000 now, and the house was only bought in $190, and she wanted to keep the house, not me. So she bought me out to keep the house.
So far, you're ahead $30,000 from nothing. You didn't do anything.
I did a lot.
Somebody else paid your child support for your 3 children. Somebody else paid your child support for your 3 children, plus she bought you out of the house because your name was on the paperwork with her. So in order to get your name off the paperwork, because she probably figured you were a slug, finally got through her brain that you were a slug, she bought you out for $26,000. All I'm saying is you're ahead $30,000 from nothing. That's a very good investment. If I could put in 0 and come out $30,000 in a period of a year,
Yes, Your Honor.
that's a pretty good investment. Go take a look at the stock market today.
For a second, I thought I was going to be able to defend myself.
$4,000. That's what you owe her. She's not paying judgment for the plaintiff. $4,000. We're done here.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
To keep a house, it costs $300,000 for $190. I mean, come on.
He wasn't doing work. He wasn't putting any money into the house.
That's why she wanted to buy me out.
He was going to walk away with all the money that I had loaned him.
She came over here crying, saying like, yo, I want to keep this house.
And now I have nothing to show for it.
Absolutely not took advantage of her, man.
Yes, lesson learned.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Calhoun versus Hernandez. Step forward.
Amanda Calhoun is suing Maribel Hernandez for vet bills after Maribel's stray pit bull savagely attacked her Chihuahua.
Miss Calhoun, you're a very nice person.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Sometimes bad things happen to very nice people. So this is basically what the case is about. This is your little dog.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you found a stray dog. When did you find the stray dog?
On December 31st, around 1 a.m.,
Where was it?
he wandered into my front yard, Your Honor.
Where do you live?
I live in Pomona. It's not the best neighborhood, Your Honor, so...
So you took the dog inside?
I put him in my backyard after feeding him. Initially, it was just, we're in the front yard.
What kind of dog?
It's like a pit bull mix, Your Honor.
First, you ultimately took the dog in. It had a chip, and it was chipped to the defendant.
Yes, Your Honor.
You contacted her, had a conversation, and when you had a conversation with her, did she at any time tell you that the dog wasn't hers?
No, Your Honor.
Did she tell you she would come and get the dog?
Yes, Your Honor.
But in the meantime, you let the dog stay in the house with your dog.
Yes, Your Honor.
Big mistake. And your dog and this pit bull mix got into a fight over food.
Yes, Your Honor.
I assume your little dog went over to bigger dog's food dish?
Not exactly, Your Honor. We fed them separately to try to prevent something like this. So we fed the bigger dog first by himself. It was leftover food in the bowl that they ended up fighting over.
Whose leftover food?
The small
the little
dog, Your Honor.
ones.
Yes, Your Honor.
And your dog was seriously injured.
Yes, Your Honor. Brutally, seriously injured.
You want the defendant to be responsible for the vet bills.
Yes, Your Honor.
How much are the vet bills?
$2,152.90, Your Honor.
When did you get this dog?
I got him in 2017 in May.
From where did you get the dog?
I got him off of Craigslist from a family.
How old was the dog when you got him?
He was 3 months old.
So you had the dog for several years.
Yes.
Who else lives in your home?
At the moment, my fiance lives with me.
Do you work?
I work, yes.
Who watches the dog during the day? Stand up. How did the dog get out on December 31st?
I wasn't there around that month. I had just got there.
What does that mean? You weren't there around that month?
You
got
said
there.
September?
No, December.
December. I wasn't around until she had picked up the dog.
So...
Don't speak. I don't want to hear you.
Yes.
Where were you on December 31st?
At home.
Where was the dog?
At her house.
You mean at the plaintiff's house?
Yes, I lived separately.
At the time.
So you weren't watching the dog during the day?
Not around the time that she had given the dog.
What?
So I had given...
No, I don't want to hear you. Do you understand?
Yes.
At all?
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If I saw a pit bull mix in my front yard, I would not bring it into my house with my 3 Shih Tzus.
She wouldn't have her dog right now if I didn't take her dog in.
What I'm telling you, I would not take a pit bull into my house that I found on the street.
Amanda Calhoun says after she took in a scrape, the dog attacked and maimed her Chihuahua.
Now, when did you and Miss Hernandez start to live together? In what month and year? Look at me. In what month and year did you and Miss Hernandez start to live together?
January 15th of this year.
Prior to that time, Miss Hernandez was living alone?
Yes.
Do you know who was watching the dog?
No, Your Honor.
Did you ever discuss, since you don't work, did you ever discuss with her who was watching the dog?
No, Your Honor.
Well, before you moved in, you must have seen the dog, right?
Yes.
Yes. So you knew she had a dog?
Yes.
Well, you don't think it would come up in conversation? What do you do with the dog during the day when you're working?
We had just gotten together.
What month had you just gotten together?
January 15th.
What do you mean you just got together? You mean you just got together and moved in?
No, in the beginning of January we did. And I decided to stay there because I just moved from Michigan. So I decided to stay there.
Stay where?
At her place.
Beginning of January?
15th, yes.
How did you meet her?
We went to high school together.
So were you communicating online or on telephone?
In person, online, yes.
Well, prior to moving in on January 5th, time that you saw her.
It was the week prior to her picking up the dog.
What do you mean the week prior?
When she went to go pick up Zeus from the plaintiff a week before that day, that's when I moved in with her. And she told me everything that had happened with the dog. I had no knowledge of anything until we picked up the dog.
Did you go together to pick up the dog? And what did she tell you about the dog when you went to pick the dog up?
She couldn't financially after her separation with her husband before me.
So she was married?
Yes, ma'am.
Is she still married?
Yes, ma'am.
And when did she and her husband separate?
I have no knowledge.
So continue.
I then...
No, continue. She said after she and her husband separated...
She was working full-time and by herself, couldn't financially take care of a dog with it at home by himself.
She couldn't financially take care of the dog.
So she...
So what did she do?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I believe her that she had thought she had found a home and gave the dog to somebody else.
Well, she should have given me their information when we called her and asked her who the dog belonged to instead of taking ownership for it. Maybe they would have picked the dog up and it wouldn't have had the time to attack my dog.
Maybe. There are a lot of maybes.
Judge Judy.
Amanda Calhoun says after she took in a stray pit bull owned by Maribel Hernandez, the dog attacked and maimed her Chihuahua.
She couldn't financially take care of the dog.
So she...
So what did she do?
The same thing how she had got him. She put him on Craigslist to try to find a good home. And once she did, because of what I know, when she found a good home, she took the dog to the gentleman and they waited a while they got to know each other and play along and, you know, then they went their separate ways. And that's when she had found out that the dog got out.
You mean from this gentleman?
From the gentleman that she...
on Craigslist?
Yes.
When did you find the gentleman on Craigslist?
November 11th.
Do you have his name?
No, ma'am, I don't quite remember.
Do you remember where he lived?
I didn't ask him where he lived.
Well, how did he get the dog?
We met up, and I made sure that he got along with
Where
Zeus.
did you meet up?
Somewhere by my house. I didn't feel comfortable having someone come to my house, so we met up at a park by my house.
And he said he would take the dog?
Yes, and Zeus really liked him.
Where's the dog now?
I have him.
Are you going to keep him?
Yes, now that I have help and after everything that happened, because I contacted this person after she told me this dog, he's been found on the streets, what's going on? And their first question was like, oh, what city did you find him in? And I'm like, what do you mean, what city? What city do you live in? That you're wondering what city he's in. And I said, well, do you still want him? And they were like, oh, yeah. And I didn't really trust it. I just said, I'll get back to you when I'm updated. And they never tried to reach out to me, and I didn't trust it. So I just said, I'll figure it out and keep him.
Miss Calhoun.
Yes, Your Honor.
You're a very nice lady.
Thank you, Your Honor.
The defendant isn't responsible for your vet bills. It's unfortunate, but she's not responsible for your vet bills. She actually wouldn't even be responsible for your vet bills if it was her dog, but I actually believe that she had given the dog away to somebody else on Craigslist who was not a very, very good caretaker. She probably had miserable judgment in giving the dog to this person, but she was, too, going through a difficult period. So she probably, if she had more time, she might have investigated further into the character of the person she was giving the dog to. But this is pretty good advice. As a dog owner, I have small dogs. If I saw pit bull mix in my front yard, I would not bring it into my house with my 3 Shih Tzus.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
Want justice? Go Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
If I saw pit bull mix in my front yard, I would not bring it into my house with my 3 Shih Tzus.
I understand that, Your Honor, but at the time it was a holiday. I had nowhere to take him. I couldn't even call the Humane Society. Everything was closed. So it was either let him continue on the street or...
No, then you leave him outside and you keep your dog separated from until the holiday is over.
I tried my best to keep them separated, Your Honor, and she took full ownership for the dog the entire time. She never once told me that she gave them away. I even had to take the dog back to her. I drove the dog to her.
What I'm telling you is, you took the dog into your house.
I understand that, Your Honor. Trying to reunite it with its owner, because I could tell it had an owner.
Well, I believe her that at the time she had thought she had found a home in November and gave the dog to somebody else.
Well, she should have given me their information when we called her and asked her who the dog belonged to instead of taking ownership for it. Maybe they would have picked the dog up and it wouldn't have had the time to attack my dog.
Maybe. There are a lot of maybes, but mostly the maybe is maybe you should have let the dog stay in your yard.
And get hit by a car, Your Honor, or there's a lot of gang violence. Someone would have taken him in, and she wouldn't have her dog right now if I didn't take her dog in and do the right thing, Your Honor.
I'm telling you, you look like a very nice lady. You did a very nice thing. Unfortunately, what I'm telling you, I, who have little dogs that I found on the street.
I understand that, Your Honor.
I wouldn't. I would keep it in a garage.
I kept him outside. The only reason he was in the house at the time is because we were home. They were never once alone by themselves.
Okay, Miss Calhoun, you're not following me. I've made my decision. That's the law. If you do a good deed, and it was clearly a good deed, but you allowed the 2 dogs to be together with food around. You fed them separately, but there was still food around.
That's what they fought over.
Goodbye, Miss Calhoun. We're done.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
It was a sweetheart deal for his girlfriend.
You left, and you left your daughter in his house. You got a free ride.
I did not get a free ride.
Free ride. Free ride.
Judge Judy.
She still has her dog back, only because I did the right thing by taking the dog in.
I'm very grateful to her to pick him up.
If I'd not taken the dog in, he'd probably be dead right now or in the pound.
I tried to do the right thing in picking him up and making sure he didn't go back to an irresponsible owner.
Couldn't get through. We couldn't get through with anyone. The best thing I could do was take him to the vet, which I did, found his chip, got a hold of his owner.
I do think it was her fault for bringing the dog in.
I tried to stop it. I couldn't stop it for fear of getting bit myself.
And she had told me that her dog started the fight.
He just got in between the big dogs.
Even though it was a smaller dog.
So we rushed him to the hospital. They did what they could, but...
I absolutely feel really bad that, that happened to her dog.
It probably won't change. I'll probably still try to help animals because that's just who I am.
And, that my dog had to go through that ordeal because who knows what happened to him.
It's not the dogs, it's the owners.
It was a sweet ordeal for his girlfriend.
How much money did you contribute to the house? Give me a rough figure.
$1,200.
That's a bargain in anybody's universe.
And their breakup wasn't the end of it.
You left, and you left your daughter in his house. You got a free ride.
I did not get a free ride.
Free ride.
This is Judge Judy.
Jennifer Adams is suing her ex-boyfriend, Mike Owens, for an unpaid loan and property damage.
Order. All rise. It's case number 437 on the calendar, the matter of Adams versus Owens.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat, please.
Miss Adams, this is what your case is about generally. You and Mr. Owens were a couple. You had lived in one place, then he bought a house. When he had some money in the bank, he said to you, I need for you to pay some of the expenses in the house so that I can keep this balanced, and I'll give that back to you. So you consider that a loan. You and your daughter were living in the house with Mr. Owens, is that right?
Part of the time. I kept my apartment until August of 2019.
I don't care whether you kept your apartment or not. That doesn't matter to me whether you kept your apartment or not. I said you were living in the house with him, with your daughter.
My daughter only lived there from September 10th on.
From September 10th until when?
September 10th. Are you talking about me living there?
You.
I stayed off and on with him. I went back to my apartment and I stayed with him, going back and forth.
How much back and forth?
A lot. We broke up several times.
I don't care whether you broke up. You can break up and get angry and then come back. I read your complaint. You said you broke up and you moved out.
Correct.
Okay,
So
when
we
you
bought the
broke
house in
up and you
April.
moved, listen to me. If you have your own apartment, then you don't have things there. Because one of the things you're suing for are things that were there. If you have your own apartment and you sleep over at the defendant's house, that's a different story. Let me read the first sentence, because maybe I'm mistaking this case for another one. Mike and I were together for over a year. While dating, Mike said he wanted to buy a house for both of us, and I would not be responsible for any rent. He told me I should get rid of my apartment. That's the way you started. The house, and I would go back and forth and back and forth. That sounds as if you were living there as a couple with your daughter. So let's not play with me, okay?
Yes.
Unless you want to take back this complaint.
No.
And then I'll recall your case, and you can redo it consistent with the story that you're telling me now.
No, I stayed with him. She did not move in until the apartment was done. But like I said, there was some back and forth. But yes, I had
No,
stuff at
I don't
both
understand
places.
this back and forth. I don't understand what you're trying to do. What you're trying to do is confuse me, which is not easy to do, Miss Adams. Not easy to do, because it seems to me, in this case, you want the best of both worlds. You have a daughter who's living with you, who was doing what?
Going to school and working.
Okay, and what was she doing with her money?
Paying her car payment and her insurance.
What was she doing to pay money for the house that she was living in?
In the apartment?
No, in his house. You left, and you left your daughter in his house.
Right.
That's what you said in here.
He said she did not have
No. Don't tell me what he said. I'm
Okay.
asking you a question.
She did not pay him any money.
So you left him and your daughter in his house. You left, went back, I assume, to your apartment. Is that right?
No, my apartment was gone by the time I left.
Oh, so you got rid of your apartment. So it couldn't have been a back and forth.
That's what I was
So
saying.
you went someplace
September
else.
10th.
You went someplace else, and you was in the house because she was going to college. I'm just getting my facts straight, so I understand what the situation is, Miss Adams.
So
You weren't paying him any money for the house when you were living there? You left your daughter in the house, whether for a month or 2 months or 3 months. How many months were you there? Count on, go just show me.
Until the end of January.
From what month to the end of January? How many months? Show me with your fingers.
Like 3 or 4.
So you were there for 3 or 4, well, you put up a lot of fingers. You were there for 3 or 4 months. You were there for 3 or 4 months after your mother left. These are not hard questions. These are very easy questions, and we're not talking about something that happened 20 years ago. We're talking about something that happened last year. How many months were you in the house with Mr. Owens after your mother picked up and left?
About a month and a half.
And how long were you there all together with your mother?
Since September 10th.
With your fingers, show me. How many months were you
3
there?
or 4.
4 months altogether. Now, in the month and a half that you were there with Mr. Owens alone, that's what you say, you were there for a month and a half, did you pay any of the expenses for the house?
No.
Did you pay any expenses for the house? That's a yes or a no?
No.
How much money did you pay in expenses when you were living at Mr. Owens' order?
over $3,000.
And how did you pay the $3,000?
Cash and bills.
Okay, so you gave him cash, and that had nothing to do with the money that you're suing him for.
No, that is the money I'm suing him for.
Oh, so let me understand this. You and your daughter lived in the house for 4.5 months. and the expenses that you paid was zero if what you're suing him for is the money that you're suing him for now. So what you paid were bills.
Well, in addition to the money he borrowed from my taxes, I paid a bunch of his bills, which
I'd like to hear
okay.
what bills you allege you paid for him and when.
I paid for bills when we were out of town, when he was working.
No. We're not sloughing over things. He was out of town working, and he put you on his bank account, correct?
Yes.
Who put money in that bank account?
He did.
So you didn't pay the bills. He paid the bills. You physically wrote.
I paid out of my account. That's what I'd like to show you.
You paid not out of a joint account.
Correct.
You paid out of your account. On what date did you pay money out of your account and for what bill?
Okay, well, one big one is part of the house payment, $166.
On what date?
That was on 7/8.
That was out of your personal account?
Yes.
Idaho Power.
$60.
60 on what date?
6/3.
In June. So they're June, July, August, September, October. What date did you move out of his house?
It was
what month?
January.
Of what year?
This year.
January of 2020?
Like I said,
Don't speak. So you paid a house payment and a power payment in June, which means you were there June, July, August, September, October, November, December, and you moved out in January, right? So that you were there 7 months, or you were there 7 months.
I was giving him money before we lived together.
Just a second. That's not what I asked you.
Okay.
We're talking about the house.
April is when the house was purchased.
You know that if what you're telling me is that the entire extent of your contribution were a couple of bills that you paid out of your personal account, and the $3,000 that was used to purchase the house, and you paid, with the exception of this $166, a house payment out of your own account, we're done. You understand that, Miss Adams?
Yes,
You're
but that's not the
responsible. How
only
many
bills.
children did you have living in the house with you?
I had her son moved in.
Just a second. When did her son move in?
Probably around September. He moved in for about a month.
How old is he?
He's 19. Statement here, too, for you.
I don't need a statement. Who else lived in the house other than her son for a month?
After
and then
he
her
was
daughter?
gone, Jacqueline moved in.
Did you have any children of your own living in the house?
No, I haven't.
Cumulatively, from April, when the house was purchased, until January, when her daughter moved out, can you give me a rough amount of money that she gave you towards the running of the house?
She never handed me any money at all. Everything was through debit cards that we used. And I do not receive any cash from her at all.
At the beginning, when you purchased the house, did you need to have any cash? Is that what she's talking about? She's talking about a particular amount of money. And she would now like me to say it was a loan that she gave you.
I got a loan from my sister for the house, right here.
I'm talking about money she gave you.
No.
A $2,700 payment?
No.
Show me the $2,700 payment. I just want to see it.
Here's when my taxes came in. And then this page is marked when I gave him the $1,415 cash. And then on his account...
Just a second. Do you have any proof that you gave him $1,400 in cash?
I have him showing on his account that he deposited on the same day, $800 of it.
Do you remember that $1,400?
No, I do. When we purchased this house, there was two $800 signed it that it was not a loan.
You mean for the bank?
Yes, from the bank.
Okay. Miss Adams.
Yes.
In the 7 months that you and your children, one or both of them, lived in the house, how much money did you contribute to the house? Give me a rough figure.
Probably $1,200.
That's a bargain in anybody's universe. You and your 2 children lived in a house for 7 months, and it cost you $1,200. That's a bargain in anybody's universe. So I don't know what you're doing here. I have no idea what you're wasting my time for.
Can I explain to you?
I'm just telling you, if you gave him $1,200 during the time you were living there, and another $3,000, so let's say if I believe you that it's $4,200 over a period of 7 months for you and your 2 children to live in his house, what I'm telling you is, I don't know what you're doing here. I don't know what you're doing here.
He told me I did not have to pay a thing.
Okay. We're done with that part of your case. Absolutely finished. Finito.
So you won't look at all this?
No. You can take it and you can trash it.
What about the destruction of property? The destruction of property.
Well, when did you move out?
I moved out at the end of November, or the beginning of November 11th.
Just a second. Was any of your property, when you moved out the end of November, was any of your property...
Well,
what? Just a second. Let's get it together. Prior to your moving out, because you don't write that in your complaint, very, very careful here. You move out the end of November.
November 10th.
Prior to November 10th, was any of your property destroyed? That's either a yes or a no.
No, next day.
You moved out. He could take your property, throw it into a dumpster. He could do anything he wants with your property. You're gone. That's what you said. You're gone. If you want to be gone, if you want to be gone and move your property, I mean, it's not that you moved out and said, I assume, that said, I'm going to be back and pick up my property little by little.
Yes, I did. And he was fine with that.
And did, just a second. So when you moved out, you said to him, I'm going to be back for my property.
Yes.
Little by little. And what did he say to you when you said, I'm leaving my daughter, I'll be back for my property little by little? What did he say to you? Did he say that was okay?
Yes. We have been friends up until this happened. Up until
what happened?
When I sued him.
Listen to me. I'm asking you a question. My question to you is a simple one. When you said, I'm leaving you, I'm going to be back and forth to get my property,
right?
Did he say to you, that's fine?
Yes.
Is that what you said to her?
All right.
Just give me the ones that say, I'm coming back for my property and it's fine, and then you'll tell me what it was that he destroyed.
This just shows that we've been friends the whole
I don't
time.
care whether you've been friends from the umbilical cord.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He was a nice man. You were friends for a long time. You got a free ride. So did your son. So did your daughter.
I did not get a free ride.
Free ride. Free ride.
No, you're not understanding.
Free ride.
No.
Free ride.
Jennifer Adams says ex-boyfriend Mike Owens owes for a loan and property damage. Mike is countersuing for stolen money, lock-changing costs, and harassment.
Just give me the ones that say, I'm coming back for my property and it's fine, and then you'll tell me what it was that he destroyed. Okay. So this has to do with couches.
Yes.
And this was on December 25th. So this is like a month after you moved out.
I had stuff there until January.
She had stuff there. You weren't there. You weren't paying rent. He can take your stuff and he can throw it out. Now, you gave him a whole list of stuff that you wanted him. I need my spice rack, coffee pot, TV upstairs, couch, motorcycle, plastic chairs out back, TV stand in the front room. So you were living there.
Yeah, once we moved out of the apartment.
Just a second. You were living there with your kid. I'm not paying for it. Now, did you get your couches?
Yes.
Did you get your spice rack?
Yes.
Did you get your motorcycle?
Yes.
And what are you complaining that he broke?
Here's a picture of my mirror that was against the wall. He took everything out of the closet, which you can show. He broke the nightstand and he threw all the stuff in a corner and broke the mirror out. Plus, I have 4 shoes where I only have left shoes. I'm missing clothing, which I have pictures of his girlfriend wearing.
I don't care.
But the mirror was the big thing, and I have an estimate for it.
Okay. And when was it broken?
The day after he sent me a text message.
Shh. Let me see the text message about the broken mirror. Mess.
And then I'll also hand you...
Just show me where he says he broke the mirror and how it got broken.
Oh, I guess it says he blew up and he's packing my stuff out. That's when he broke the mirror.
Just tell me.
And that's from my daughter when she showed up right after the mirror.
Where's Mike? Did he break the mirror? Okay. You sure you're okay? Do you want me to go down and stay at home? No, I'm sorry. I'm going to stay, all clean up this mess, and it's okay. Would you please show me where he says he broke the mirror?
I was mistaken.
Were you there?
I came home to it.
Okay. You came home, but you didn't see how it broke.
Yes, and he told me he broke it and that he was sorry and that he just got agitated.
Okay. Well, you want to tell me how the mirror broke?
When I was packing her clothes out of the closet, I threw them in a corner. The mirror was leaning up against the wall. It did fall over and break.
So it was an accident?
It was an accident. And then same thing with the nightstand.
Move on.
Do you want the picture?
No. Yeah, you don't seem to understand. He was a nice man. You were friends for a long time. You got a free ride. So did your son. So did your daughter.
I did not get a free ride.
Free ride. Free ride.
No, you're not understanding.
Free ride.
No.
Free ride.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Sympathetic with you, but you're playing house with somebody. You're an idiot to put somebody on a joint bank account. She went and took out $1,254. Did you close the joint checking account? Okay, this is your very good friend.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Jennifer Adams says ex-boyfriend living expenses while he was buying a house.
Now, you lived with him at least from April until January of this year, and all told you paid $4,000 for you and your kid, who were living with him, who he took care of. And when you left him, and clearly it wasn't a happy time between the two of you, because according to you, he was angry that you just left, and he was packing up your stuff. Something broke by accident.
I don't believe that.
I don't care what you believe. Actually, madam, I don't know what you're doing here.
He borrowed money, and I have it on recording.
I'm just telling you. I've given you my answer with regard to that.
Would you like to hear the
We're
recording?
done. I asked you from April until January how much cash money you spent on yourself, your daughter, and your son who were living in his house. Do you work?
Yes.
What do you do?
I do accounting, accounts receivable, about 4 days a week, 2 hours a day.
2 hours a day. So you work 8 hours a week.
Yes.
You must be a very high hourly paid person.
No, I'm on disability. I'm sick.
So you also get disability?
Yes.
For how long?
Since 2003.
Is there any reason why you can't work more than 2 hours a day?
Yes, I'm very sick.
Okay. Now.
He asked him at the end of January after she kept entering my house with my girlfriend living there.
Okay. You now have a new girlfriend.
Yes.
Does she pay rent?
Yes, she does.
Okay. Now, your countersuit mainly is this, that she took out from the joint account $1,254.
Yes.
You had put her on your joint account, she says, because she paid bills when you were out of town.
When I was purchasing the house.
Because she's telling me that she paid other bills out of her own account.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get involved with that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sympathetic with you, but you're playing house with somebody. You're an idiot to put somebody on a joint bank account and put money in it. She went and took out $1,254. Did you close the joint checking account? Okay, this is your very good friend. Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by.
Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Now, then the other thing is, in July of 2019, you took a trip. It was supposed to be her treat. Borrowed money. You had to pay her father back for it. I don't care about that. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. You're living together. You're playing house. I don't get involved with that. We have divorce courts for that. But we don't have courts for all. Happy now you have a new girlfriend, right, who's living and paying rent?
Yes.
Sounds like a keeper to me.
It is.
We're done.
Oh, yeah.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
This scam went into overdrive.
She asked us if we wanted the vehicle for $500.
A new Tesla.
We were fools for believing her.
No, you were more than fools.
Judge Judy.
I think she was really mad because I got another girl living in the house.
Everything was fine until he moved in the girlfriend.
She kept telling me she had nowhere to go, nowhere to put it, and so I just left it there.
That doesn't pay rent, that gets food stamps, and they live off it.
You know, so I kept telling her that she needs to get her stuff out. And
so the whole thing is just a bunch of lies.
Just keep the trash out.
Don't date the crazies.
The love I had for him just wasn't there no more. The love just had faded away.
Their relationship was finally over.
Things went bad.
Has Mr. Nieves ever hit you?
Yes, he has.
She's lying, Your Honor.
But
I'm pulling up, and I tell him, what do you want? Get out of here. He rammed his truck into my vehicle.
That never happened.
Nope.
Judge Judy. This is Judge Judy. Daniela Hernandez is suing her ex-boyfriend, Luis Nieves, for ramming her vehicle in a fit of rage. She is also suing for the cost to rent a car.
Judge, this is case number 19 on the calendar in the matter of Hernandez versus Nieves. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated.
Ms. Hernandez, you and the defendant have 2 children together. How old are they?
16 and 14.
Both boys?
No, girl and boy.
The boy is 14?
Yes.
How long did you and Mr. Nieves live together?
About a year.
In what year?
2004.
And then you were separated?
Yeah, off and on.
When did you get back together again?
Last year.
In 2019?
Yes.
Well, in between there, I know that you had to have gotten together
yeah.
a little bit before.
In 2006.
For how long?
About a year.
And then he left again, or you left?
I left.
Why?
It wasn't working out.
Tell me, wasn't working out in 2004. I'm asking these questions for a reason, because it leads up to temper. Had Mr. Nieves displayed a temper to you, either when you lived together in 2004 or 2006?
Yes.
Okay. And you've actually then lived apart for about or mate?
Yes, I do.
And what is his name?
Dominic.
How long have you been living with Dominic?
Since my mother passed away.
When was that? What year?
This year.
In 2019?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Nieves.
Yes, Your Honor.
There were several occasions in which you lost your temper, according to the plaintiff. And you didn't lose your temper and hit her. But you lost your temper and damaged her car with your car or with a car that you were driving. And she would like to be compensated for that. The first one was a year ago, 2019. Do you want to tell me what happened in 2019, Mr. Nieves?
Yes, in 2019, there was one day where I left her at the beach with the kids because we started arguing for something stupid. So I left and I told her to find her own ride home because we were on my vehicle. So I got home, and then like a couple minutes later, she arrived home. And she arrived home with all the kids, and in front of all the kids, started attacking me and hitting me. And that was the first time she disrespected me at my house, and there was nobody home. My mom wasn't there or anybody. Then she called her brother over, and then I don't know who she called, but she called a couple people, so I called the cops on, and then came back the following day.
Okay, and nothing happened with the car?
Nothing happened that day.
So when did it happen?
Okay, so there was this
her car?
It was like a couple of weeks after that. We just started arguing for, I have no clue for what, to be honest. Well,
okay, so she came home.
Yeah, she came back.
So she came home.
We made everything peaceful after that. So we started off fresh again.
Okay.
So that deal was over with, right? But it still brought me flashbacks from like when I was a kid, because she used to do the same thing when I was a kid. When we were kids, she used to attack me all the time as well. And in front of my mom, in front of whoever was there would see it. Whether it was in the middle of the street or not, she's broken my windows.
Let's move on to the car.
Okay. So that day, she jumped on me and she scratched my face. And I ran out the door into my truck and I reversed and tried to do a U-turn in my driveway, and I hit her car with the back of my truck.
Okay. And that was taken care of?
Yes, it was.
By insurance, is that right?
Yes.
By my insurance.
Yes. Now, Miss Hernandez, did you scratch him in the face?
Yes, I did.
Why?
He tried to put his hands on me, so to defend myself, I scratched him in the face.
How did he try to put his hands?
Well, he tried to hit me. I can't remember for what, but he tried to hit me.
Miss Hernandez, has Mr. Nieves ever hit you?
Yes, he has.
She's lying, Your Honor.
In what year?
Through
the way up. So he tried to hit you. Did he ever hit you in 2004? That's either a yes or a no. Did he ever hit you in 2004?
Yes.
She doesn't even know what she's answering, Your Honor.
Tell me how much.
Shh.
What I want you to do is make sure you give me the truthful answer to a question, because there's going to be a follow-up question, Ms. Hernandez. Do you understand?
Yes.
Could you estimate how many times Mr. Nieves hit you between 2004 and 2019? Hit you. Not tried to hit you, but hit you.
I'm going to say about 10.
Did you ever report any of those assaults to authorities?
Yes, I did.
Do you remember in what year?
I remember a couple.
Tell me, if it was just a couple, then those couple of times it must have been serious.
I remember it was 2005. I remember, after that, it was 2019.
Your Honor, there isn't any times. That's why she doesn't have a date, all right?
No, just a second. Now, those are the 2 times you remember and the 2 times you reported it to the police.
Yes.
In 2019, tell me the circumstances surrounding you reporting an assault to the police.
There is none.
I have the report here. There was a time where he thought I was cheating on him, So I went to his job, and he took my phone from me, grabbed the hammer, started like nothing, just threw it away.
Can I see that police report?
No, that one I don't have, but I have one where he beat me up in his garage. He threw me to the floor and told me whether I like it or not, this is where
In
I'm
what
gonna.
year?
2019.
Okay, so first he hit you in the garage. Was that the same day on the 20th?
Yes, it was.
So after he assaulted you in the garage, he left?
I left, yes.
You left. So you had gone to his house?
Yes.
Well, what did you go to his house for?
Because we were gonna talk about just being good terms, and just, I don't know what got into him, and just things went bad.
What time did you show up at his house?
Probably around 11.
So you went to his house at 11 p.m. Did you tell him that you were coming?
He knew. He called me and told me to come over.
Don't tell me what he knew. Don't tell me what he knew.
He called me to come over.
Is that correct, sir?
Yeah, but there's a possibility, yes.
Yes. So you asked her to come over?
Yes, because I wanted to be with her. I was trying to do everything the right way ever since I got back with her.
11 o'clock at night is not breakfast time.
Well, I don't know if it was 11 o'clock, to be honest
Okay.
with you. It could have been 1 in the
All
morning.
right. So you invited her to come over at 11 o'clock at night. She came over. You had an argument. Now, Ms. Hernandez, now tell me what happened with the car.
The incident happened on the 20th. My car happened days after.
I want to know what happened with your car. Now we're back to your car.
But you want to know what crashed my car?
You indicate that there are 3 things that you are suing him for. In case you forgot, I'm going to tell you. You first alleged that he damaged your car in 2019. You got a rental car. When he damaged your car, that was paid for by insurance.
Yes.
When you got a rental car, he damaged the rental car, and now they're coming after you, you say, for $1,000. Tell me about your rental car. Come on. Questions get harder.
It happened down the street from his house.
On what date?
I don't remember exactly, but it was a few days before I had to turn in the vehicle. He hit me with the rental truck that he was using when my vehicle was in the shop.
Okay. You want to tell me, sir, about this rental car?
I don't know what she's talking about.
That never happened.
Nope. The 2 times that we did have an accident, my insurance covered for it, and I admitted to my insurance, and they did their investigation, and they were able to confirm it.
Which 2 times, sir?
In December 6th and in June.
Then she rented a rental car, and you say that you didn't damage the rental car.
I did not rent any car. She was out there with her friends doing I don't know what.
Okay. The 3rd time that she's referencing is on February 9th, 2020. Do you want to tell me your version of what happened on February 9th, 2020?
Yes, I was at work, and that's it. I didn't even know anything till a week and a half after that. My insurance contacted me, and when I spoke to my insurance, they were telling me that there was being a claim being filed for that certain date. So I told the insurance where I was at, and then they did their own investigation, and they confirmed where I was at, and they said they weren't going to pay for the claim because I was at no fault.
So what 2 times did your insurance pay?
One happened in June and one happened in December. After December, we haven't been together.
Okay. What happened in June? You didn't tell me what happened in June.
Yeah.
She's not claiming June.
June is when she scratched me. And in December, I was at work. She had gone to my job, and then she was going to the welfare office, supposedly right after that. Well, she didn't know I was driving home when I bumped into her in a street, in one of the back streets, and she was with the guy in her vehicle. So I started following her, and then she was going real fast, and I was following her behind her because I wanted her to stop because I had finally caught her cheating. So she hit the brakes out of nowhere, and I smashed into the back of her car. And I tried to dodge it out, but I couldn't. So my insurance paid for that.
And that was in June?
That was in December. The second one was in December. The first one was in June when she scratched my face.
Okay. Now, why don't you tell me your version of what happened on February 9th?
I was outside my house, my front yard, and I hear the sound of his truck. So I look out the window, and it's him.
Hold on one second, but just 1 second. Just 1 second. Is that your son here?
Yes.
I'd like him to step out while you're testifying. And is that your boyfriend?
Yes.
I'd like him to step out while you're testifying. Okay, you're outside with your boyfriend and your son in the yard cleaning up, and?
I walk in my house to get something to drink for all 3 of us. My mother's inside dying. I hear his truck, so I look out the window, and it's him pulling up, and I tell him, what do you want? Get out of here. And he said, I told you.
Just a second. You're inside
Yes.
You heard his truck from inside. In what room were you inside?
I was in the living room.
Okay. And you heard something, and is there a window in the living room that you saw his truck? Did you open the door?
I opened the curtain.
You opened the curtain and you saw his truck?
Yes.
What did you do next?
I look out the window, I opened the curtain, and I said, what do you want? Get out of here.
And where is the boyfriend? When you're saying this?
He's outside with my son.
Just a second. So between you, because you're inside the house, and the defendant who's in the street, they're in between you?
Yes.
Okay, and you yelled, what are you doing here? And he said...
I told you I was going to... And I said, get out of here. And I don't know why, what got into him. And he said, I'm not going to leave you alone, and I'm going to... like I said I was. And that's when he rammed his truck into my vehicle. And when I was running out, he took off.
And you have a police report about that?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to take a look at it.
That's all they gave me.
That doesn't say anything about a car.
Yes, I know.
That you're a victim of domestic violence and sex assault.
Yes, that's all the officer gave me, and he said that if they catch him...
Don't tell me what the officer said to you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
They were kind of arguing.
Tell me what you heard. You were right there.
She was telling him to, like, pretty much leave, and he was, like, cussing and saying, oh, you're disrespecting me, and and then he hit the truck.
Daniela Hernandez says, X her vehicle.
Now, would you bring just the boyfriend in, please? Mr. Martinez, do you recall the events of February 9th of this year?
Yes.
Do you remember at about what time you and Miss Hernandez's son, take your hands out of your pockets, do you remember what time you and Miss Hernandez's son were outside doing yard work?
It was about 10 in the morning.
I'd like you to tell me exactly what you recall happened, sir.
Okay, we were cleaning...
You're outside with Miss Hernandez and her 14-year-old son.
Correct.
Okay, go.
Okay, we were picking up all the grass and putting it in the bags, and as we're walking up into the house, she heard the truck.
Who's we?
I mean, Aaron, her son.
And where was Miss Hernandez?
At that time, she was, like, between the front door and the middle of the yard of the house.
Okay, so she was between the front door and the lawn?
Yeah, pretty much in front of the door.
I want you to tell me exactly where she was. Was she in front of the door of the house?
Yes.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure, because then she told us to come inside. We're going inside because I guess she heard his truck. And that's when we were about to go inside, and that's when he pulled. He was still in the yard. And then I was actually about to walk in the house, like almost like a foot in the door. And that's when he reversed back and hit the car. And then I went inside, and then Aaron was still in the driveway, like about 5 feet from her car, where it got hit. And then he sped off. So she was outside talking to him? They were kind of arguing. Tell me what you heard. You were right there. Yeah. So tell me what you heard. She was telling him to, like, pretty much leave, and he was, like, cussing and saying, oh, you're disrespecting me, and then he hit the truck. Okay. Why don't you have a seat? Bird, would you bring in the young man, please? What is his first name?
Aaron.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He reversed into her car and took off.
Did you ask him, when you saw him again, why he hit your mom's car?
I asked him one time through text, and he said that we're going to have to talk about that in person.
How do you think her car got damaged, Mr. Nieves?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Daniela Hernandez claims ex-boyfriend Luis Nieves purposely rammed her vehicle.
Now, Bird, would you bring in the young man, please? What is his first name?
Aaron.
Good morning, Aaron.
Good morning.
Aaron, do you remember February 9th, the incident that happened when you were outside raking the grass and cutting the grass with Dominic?
Yes, I do.
Okay, do you remember about what time that happened?
It was, like, early in the morning, around 12.
You have to speak up.
It was around 12.
Around?
12.
12 o'clock?
Yeah.
And who was outside?
My mom, me, and Dominic.
Tell me what happened.
My dad pulled up. He went up the street, and then he came back down. And I was outside with my mom, and when he was going down, he hit the brakes, and he yelled at my mom, I told you I'm gonna... Can I say the words? Is it... Or...
Whatever. He said bad things. No, you don't have to.
Okay.
He said bad things to your mom.
Yeah, he said that, and then he reversed into her car and took off.
Okay. And did it damage her car? Did you see damage to the car?
Yes, on her right door.
Okay. Aaron, have you seen your dad since that day?
Yes, I have.
Did you ask him when you saw him again why he hit your mom's car?
I asked him one time through text, and he said that we're going to have to talk about that in person. And ever since, I just forgot about it.
So you didn't speak to him again about it?
No.
Okay. Have a seat.
Thank you.
Have a seat.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by... Are you in a family dispute? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
How do you think her car got damaged, Mr. Nieves?
I have no clue, to be honest.
Okay. Now, Ms. Hernandez, this is a 2017 Kia Optima that you had, is that right?
Yes.
When did you buy it?
July 2nd, 2017.
So you bought it new?
Yes.
It's financed, correct?
Yes, I'm leasing it. I'm going to purchase it, actually. I'm buying the car.
You're going to buy it out?
Yes.
Were you leasing it in February?
Yes.
Okay. If you have a leased car, you are required to maintain collision insurance.
Yes.
And you maintain collision insurance. Did you have the car fixed?
In February?
In February or March or April or May
I didn't
or
get
June.
it fixed.
Why not?
Because I don't have the money, and I don't think I should pay for it.
What I'm saying to you, Ms. Hernandez, you are required under the terms of a lease to maintain insurance, including collision, not just liability, but collision. Are you telling me that you didn't pay the insurance as you were supposed to?
And I did. I had full. Why should I pay for it if I didn't?
You're not paying for it. Your insurance is paying for it. Fix the car. Your insurance company is paying for it. Now, if you show me that you have a policy that requires a $500 deductible, I would absolutely charge Mr. Nieves that $500 if you fix the car. But I have no idea why you didn't, since February, have your car fixed, since you had full coverage. It's not coming out of your pocket. You are required to have insurance. Goodbye. We're done.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
You sold that business to the defendants. For how much?
$800,000.
What proof do you have that she libeled, slandered you, and caused you to lose business?
Next Judge Judy.
I don't know. I wanted to be in good terms with him, but...
She's done so much to me in the past, and everybody knows it.
He snaps out of it and just decides to... I mean, it's a history. This is not the first time.
In my family, that's why I didn't bring no witnesses or anything. I didn't need them.
Like, he made it a hobby to be crashing my car for no reason.
She's just out to get me because I have a lot of money, she says.
He's got money to buy cars out of. Maybe he should give me money to pay my car or just, fix my car at least.
I don't want nothing with her.
I don't ever want to see him around my house.
I've been staying away from her. I have a new relationship, and I'm happy.
He wants to see his kids. He could pick them up somewhere else, but I don't want to see him by my house at all.
It's frightening to be bitten by a dog. She had 5 stitches.
She demands a family pay top dollar.
For the suturing was $7,000.
Did you have insurance?
It didn't cover this.
But she's not up front.
What do your parents do for a living?
About her own family.
My father works as a plastic surgeon.
So your father performed the surgery?
Yes, he did.
Very bad form. Not good to do here, Miss Simone.
This is Judge Judy. 19-year-old Ariella Simone is suing Michael Sobolov and his son, 19-year-old Evan, for a dog bite that occurred during a party in their home.
Judge, this is case number 27 on the calendar in the matter of Simone versus Sobolov. Parties have been sworn in.
Miss Simone, how old are you?
I'm 19.
And Mr. Sobolov, what's your son's first name?
Evan.
Evan?
Yes.
How old are you, Evan?
I'm 19.
Mr. Sobolov, you were not at home.
Yes, you're correct, Your Honor.
On what date did this happen?
I'm not sure. I think it was August 4th or August 5th.
Is that correct, Ms. Simone?
No, it was August 3rd.
Of what year?
2019.
You left Evan alone in the house to watch the house, watch himself, and watch the dog. Am I correct, Mr. Sobolov? So you actually have no first-hand information about what happened on that day.
That's correct, Your Honor.
When did you leave?
We must have been gone.
If this happened on August 3rd.
I only found out today exactly when this happened. I think we were gone for a couple of days.
Do you remember where you went?
We were in New York for business.
Who's we?
My wife and I.
And where is your usual home?
Usual home was right there.
In California?
Yes.
So you flew to New York?
Yes.
Well, if you flew to New York, you had to have been gone more than 2 days. 1 day flying and 1 day coming back. And if you went there on business, you have to accomplish business. So that's at least another day.
Your Honor, it could have been 3 days.
Do you remember what day? Could have been. Do you remember what day of the week, Miss Simone, this happened?
I believe it was Saturday.
Okay. And you were there on what kind of business, Mr. Sobolov, in New York? What's the nature of your business?
Garment manufacturing.
Well, the garment district is closed on Saturday and Sunday. So if this was a Saturday evening that your son was having a gathering at the house and you went to New York...
It was 3 days, Your Honor. I wasn't sure about the exact date. The trade shows in New York are usually on Sundays and Mondays, and we go to New York for trade shows, or we did before COVID.
Okay, so Sunday and Monday, and you would have come home on Tuesday.
That's correct.
Okay, so let us say that you left on Saturday. Let's go over to Evan. Evan!
Yes, Your Honor.
You have a better memory of these events? Did your father and mother leave on Saturday or Friday?
They definitely didn't leave the day of, so I guess it was Friday or maybe a day before.
Either Thursday or Friday?
Yes, Your Honor.
And they came back on Tuesday evening?
Yes, Your Honor.
When did you tell them that the dog had bitten the plaintiff? When they were in New York or when they came home?
It wasn't until months after the event occurred when I found out there was a lawsuit involved.
So you didn't tell them at all?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, very good. And at the time, Evan, so this is a year ago, so on what date is your birthday?
August 21st, Your Honor.
So at that time, you were 17?
Yes, Your Honor.
And the plaintiff was 17, is that correct?
I must have been 18. Oh, no.
What do you mean you must?
Sorry, 17.
Right, you were 17. How many people, Evan, did you have over at the house on Saturday night?
I believe somewhere between 10 and 15 people.
When they were leaving, that you were having a bunch of teenagers over at the house?
I told them I would be having friends over.
That's a yes or a no?
Yes.
You told me you'd be having friends over. Anything more specific than that?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. At what time did you invite these friends over?
I believe it was around 7 or 8 p.m., Your Honor.
So you were having a Saturday night party. Did you specifically invite plaintiff, or was she brought by somebody else?
She was brought by someone else, Your Honor.
Were people supposed to bring their own alcohol, or did you just supply it?
I did not supply any alcohol, Your Honor. There was none in the house.
That's not my question. Oh. My question is, did you supply the alcohol?
No, Your Honor.
Or were people supposed to bring their own?
A couple of kids brought their own.
I want you to understand, Evan, that I have had 5 teenage children. I have 13 grandchildren, 11 of whom have or are currently teenagers. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Very good. So my question to you is, did you supply the alcohol, or did the people bring their own?
The people brought their own, Your Honor.
Great. Did you supply the food, or did people supply their own?
I'm not 100% sure if there was food.
There's always food. Either you ordered it in or you had it. You know, most 17-year-old teenage boys. Well, Miss Simone, food. Was there food at this party?
I don't recall there being food, actually.
Pretzels, potato, nothing much to drink, nothing much to eat. What are we all doing at his house?
There was alcohol at the party, but there was no food. Of course there was. There was no, I don't recall there being food.
Well, not a very good party. Okay. I want you to tell me how it came about that Miss Simone was bitten, and there's no question she was bitten, and there's no question she was treated in a hospital, because she's going to show me proof of that, correct, Miss Simone?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
She was bitten by your dog. You have a senior dog?
We did, Your Honor. He passed away in October.
And the dog passed away? Okay. But she was senior back in August of 2019.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to tell me how it came about that Miss Simone was bitten by your dog. And what time did it happen?
I'm pretty sure it happened around 11 p.m. And
okay, so everybody's been there drinking for at least 2-3 hours because it was called for 7 or 8, so now it's 11. So everybody, all the teenagers are all having a good time because parents are at a trade show across the country. 11 p.m. Go.
So most of the kids were on the lower deck of my backyard, and my dog, who was really...
What were they doing? They weren't eating?
No, standing around talking. Maybe a couple of them were drinking. And then...
And?
That's, I mean, there's a view you can see, so we were just hanging out by the view.
Okay, want to tell me what happened with the dog?
So then the dog, he would usually try to stay by my side throughout the whole time my parents were away, but his legs weren't good enough.
Don't tell me what... I asked you what happened with the dog. So I don't need a history.
So the dog started...
I just need what happened with the dog on the 3rd of August at about 11 p.m. with the plaintiff. I want you to tell me.
So the dog started whining because he couldn't go down the stairs. And because it was late, I was worried about his, him making noise and disturbing our neighbors. So I left the group that was hanging out on the deck of our backyard. And I walked up the stairs and I was just sitting with him, petting him, just trying to keep him quiet. And then that was when the plaintiff came over and she tried to pet the dog.
Came over from where?
The deck where most of the people were.
You were downstairs?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so she came up the stairs?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, she didn't come over. She came up the stairs. And how many stairs are there?
There's one flight of stairs.
No, don't look down at anything. Hey, look here. Right here. How many stairs are there that you went up to sort of keep the dog quiet? Was the dog barking?
He was whining.
So you went upstairs to comfort the dog?
Yes, Your Honor.
And the plaintiff came up after you?
5 or 10 minutes. So I was already sitting down with the dog.
Up on the upper level?
Yes.
On the deck?
No, it was the deck is the lower level.
And what's on the upper level?
I guess this is the front part of our backyard. I guess that's where the door to our house is.
Okay, and who was with you there?
Me and then my friend Sol, and we were both. I was petting the dog, comforting, and Sol was sitting 2 or 3 feet away from the dog, and he was talking to me. And then that's when Ariella came over. Okay, so just you and your friend.
Yes. And she came up the stairs.
Yes, and then slightly towards the left, because we were to the left of the staircase, and she came over.
Okay.
And then she tried to pet the dog, and as soon as her hand got close to his head, he snapped at her.
Okay, very good. May I see your medical bills, please?
Yes.
Mr. Sobolov, your son is seems like a very nice young man. You know, the one thing that you should never do unless you want to have this kind of problem is leave a teenager home alone for 4 days, knowing that their parents aren't going to be home. Very bad idea. The last time that happened, that I allowed my stupidity to take over, there were 4 boats that sunk in a harbor as a result of dinghies, not big boats, but dinghies. You understand? You just have to know and take that as part of a risk, that if you leave a teenager home alone, they can sniff out a parentless house better than a raccoon can sniff out fresh pizza. Okay, so you had $2,000, almost $3,000 worth of medical bills. Is that right?
Yes, so for the emergency room, it was almost $3,000.
Yes.
And then there was, for the suturing, was $7,000.
Did you have insurance?
I do have insurance, but it didn't cover this.
Why?
The emergency room wasn't covered because it was out of network. So I have Kaiser, but we went to Cedars-Sinai, and so it was out of network, so that wasn't covered. And then the surgical place I went to doesn't take the insurance I have.
Why didn't you go to a place that took the insurance that you had?
This was just most convenient for me.
I don't understand that. You have insurance through your family.
Yes.
You have insurance through your family through Kaiser?
Yes.
Let's be very, very careful with what you tell me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Who took you to the emergency room?
Another person at the party.
Why didn't you go home? Your father's a plastic surgeon. Why wouldn't you go home for your father to irrigate the wound? Why wouldn't you go home?
And later to...
Utility bills within 10 days of their accruing. Because what you say is, well, you said to him that you would just take it off his deposit. Well, you can't do that under your lease.
Ariella Simone says a dog owned by Michael Sobolov bit her during a house party thrown by his son, Evan.
Okay, what do your parents do for a living? You were a minor. What do your parents do for a living?
They're both doctors.
Where?
My mother, she works part-time as a dentist, and my father works as a plastic surgeon.
So let me tell you this, Miss Simone. I don't believe that your medical bills were uncovered, so that's not happening for you. But I do believe, sir, that you're responsible for her pain and suffering. So now I'd like you to tell me about what happened after you were bitten.
So, well,
how many stitches did you have?
I had just one set of stitches on my arm.
How many?
I have an image. I'm not sure about the exact number, but I could pull up that image.
I'd like to take a look at it.
All right.
But just a second. Can I see the name on that bill, please? On that bill, the last bill. International Advanced Surgical. Where is that located?
It's located in Beverly Hills.
And what's the name of the doctor who performed that surgery?
Simone. Yes.
Yeah, very bad form. Very bad form. Not good to do here, Miss Simone. Can I see photographs of the injury? Okay, it looks like there were about 4 or 5 stitches. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. And your father did that for you that day or the next day?
The next day.
Who washed off the wound?
My father, and once at the emergency room, they irrigated it, and then also, again, my father.
Who took you to the emergency room?
Another person at the party.
Why didn't you go home? Your father's a plastic surgeon.
Yes.
Just a second. Your father's a plastic surgeon. Your mother is also in the medical field. Why wouldn't you go home for your father to irrigate the wound? Why wouldn't you go home?
I should have, but I wasn't thinking straight at the time. And the first thing we thought was just to go to the emergency room.
You have an old dog. She didn't do anything, according to your son, sir, that was aggressive towards the dog. It's frightening to be bitten by a dog. She had 5 stitches. I'm certainly not paying her father's bill for stitching her up. When you leave a kid home and there's drinking in the house, things happen. There's nothing that the plaintiff did that was aggressive. What she did here today was foolishness to not give me that information right up front. Very foolish. Judgment for the plaintiff for pain and suffering only.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Your Honor.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
I went to pet the dog, and that's when the dog bit me.
This wasn't her first time at my house. She had been there the week before, and so she should have already known the drill.
I was not drinking because I actually drove there.
She was intoxicated.
If my father wasn't able to, I would have had to get it done anyway, and I would have had to pay for it anyway.
I mean, the whole story sounds very doctor to me.
All parties in the matter of Mandor versus Gresham, step to the podium, please.
Kevin Mandor is suing Stephen Gresham for the return of a security deposit for a used car lot he was renting from him.
Mr. Mandor, you leased a retail space from Mr. Gresham some 3 years ago.
That's correct.
Part of that retail space, according to what I read, is a parking lot.
Right.
And there was a building attached to that. Is that right?
That's correct.
And you sold cars out of that parking lot?
Yes,
and
Your
building?
Honor.
Used cars?
Yes, sir.
The annual rental on the property was what?
It started out at $5,500 a month and ended up at $6,000 a month. So around 60 plus thousand.
Was that pursuant to the lease?
Yes.
Okay. And you gave Mr. Gresham a $10,000 deposit when you signed the lease?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Is all that correct, Mr. Gresham?
It is, ma'am.
And I
do.
Okay. Mr. Gresham kept some $4,700 of your deposit when the lease terminated. Up until that time, you had paid your rent.
Yes, Your
There
Honor.
is no claim that you had not paid your rent, so I assume you had paid your rent as a tenant. You moved out after the lease, and that's what you're suing him for, the $4,700. Correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, the defense that Mr. Gresham does not deny that he kept $4,700. This is his defense, that during the course of the lease, either the whole term of the lease or part of the lease, you didn't pay pursuant to the lease for trash, water, and electricity. Is that right, Mr. Gresham?
No, he did pay electricity. They did pay except for the last July that they were there.
Just a second. Trash and water. So what you're saying is you kept his deposit because he didn't pay for trash and water.
Yes, and the last
Did you pay
the last month's electricity bill.
And how much was the last month's electricity bill?
$77.89.
Okay, $77. Hardly worth my time.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The lease says you have to give him notice within 10 days. What you did was
So
you
you're
waited
saying that
until
I have
the
to give
whole
him
lease
notice
was
for
over.
30
What your lease says. I assume that you wrote the lease.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kevin Mandor says Stephen Gresham is wrongfully withholding a security deposit for a used car lot he rented from him.
Now, so that the majority of what you are claiming is for trash and water.
Correct.
The majority of what you're claiming is for trash and water. Were trash and water included in his lease? Was they mentioned in his lease?
Yes, it is that he has
Were
to pay.
trash? I'd like you to show me where.
It's in item number 6, ma'am.
Would you put it over there, sir?
Can you see it?
6. Landlord will calculate the utility bill for 12 months. Tenant will be... I can read it. You can take your finger away.
Sorry.
Well, sir, can you tell me what months you are claiming that you gave him the bills that he didn't pay? You're supposed to let him know within 10 days of the utility charge. That's what it clearly says here.
Right, and I did
you
do
give
right
him
from the
monthly
beginning.
Did you?
Right from the beginning.
Well, just show me where you sent him utility bills within days. Well, you said to him that you would just take it off his deposit. Well, you can't do that under your lease. But what you have to do is you have to show me that you had utility bills other than this $79 that he didn't pay and that you gave him notice of.
I did give him notice.
Over a 3-year period.
It was tension all the time.
Show me that you gave him notice over 3 years.
The water bills and the trash
No, don't show
bills.
me the bills.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
Now, I want you to do is show me the notices that you sent to him.
He got one notice at the beginning,
that's what the
and it
lease
brought
said.
so much tension that I didn't want to argue. I just let it go. He wasn't going to pay
Well,
it.
you just let it go. You have to return his $4,700 to him.
I
You have to give him
disagree
notice
with you.
pursuant. I don't care whether you disagree or not, sir. That's what the
Well,
lease says. The lease says you have to give him notice within 10 days. What you did was
So
you
you're
waited
saying that
until
I have
the
to give
whole
him
lease
notice
was
for
over.
36
I don't.
months?
Just a second. Absolutely. That's what your lease says. I assume that you wrote the lease. I assume that either you or your lawyers was 10 days from the breach. And what you did was say, listen, I don't care. I got 10 grand of his money.
He told me to
and
take it out
I
of the
didn't like-
deposit. He wanted to pay me at the end of the
Did you tell him
lease.
to take out of the deposit?
No, Your Honor. I have evidence to the contrary.
Okay.
That's not true.
$4,700. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Bye.
This case is done. Parties are excused.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Did you change the lock?
I never change the locks. I took his key.
Don't talk nonsense to me.
I want to choose my words wisely.
If I were you, I would choose them very wisely.
Judge Judy.
I was the defendant. I had to defend myself.
He literally ran us out of there.
No comment.
It was terrible for 3 years. Just terrible.
No comment, sir.
It was kind of like this for 3 years.
Thank you.
Which is why I moved on.
The band he hired rocked.
Did Mr. Phillips pay you?
He wrote 2 checks to us.
Then he rolled.
Both checks bounced?
Can you not say the word bounced again, please?
They were bounced.
Time to face the music.
You knew that there were insufficient funds. Do you know that's a felony?
This is Judge Judy. Musician Daniel Hernandez is suing event promoter Lawrence Phillips for money owed for a performance and bank fees.
Judge, this is case number 23 on the calendar in the matter of Hernandez versus Phillips. Parties have been sworn in. You may have a seat.
Mr. Hernandez, it is your claim that the defendant owes you the balance of a contractual obligation that you had with him for you to perform with a band at a venue where he was hosting an event.
That's correct.
According to you, you did the work. Mr. Phillips gave you 2 checks. Both checks bounced. He did pay you some money. He still, according to you, owes you several $1,000s. And you've tacked on the bank fees for the return checks,
Correct.
which was about $30.
Yeah.
So far,
Yes.
is that, in a nutshell, what it is?
Yes.
You indicate in your complaint, Mr. Hernandez, that you have a day job, which is not playing with a band. What is your day job?
I work for a HVAC company.
And how long have you been doing that?
18 years or so.
And how long have you had this little side hobby of the band?
This particular band, about 3 years, but I've been playing my whole life.
And did you form this band?
It was a conga, and we just played one time together as a favor at an event in Riverside, and we just thought, this is pretty amazing. Let's keep doing this, and we've been together ever since.
How did you meet the defendant?
Through a mutual friend.
Can you tell me what month and year that was?
A couple years ago, not the month exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
In this gig that you got involved with, can you tell me when you were supposed to perform with your band and what the financial arrangement with the defendant was?
The actual performance was September 28th of last year, and we were to provide the band and also to contract for the staging and the lighting and the sound.
Staging, lighting, and sound.
Yes.
Well, let's deal with that part of the claim first, because that's also in this claim.
Sure.
You did contract with the staging, lighting, and sound. How much was that?
In my part, the staging, lighting, and sound was apparently $4,000 altogether. However, I took care of $2,000 for our sound guy because there was a check made out to him as well that had bounced that Mr. Phillips made out.
And that's your witness?
Correct. Oscar.
So he has proof of a bounce check from Mr. Phillips as well. And that was for the September 28th?
Well, yeah, because it was that same date. Yeah, the same performance.
Okay. And what were you supposed to be paid? $1,500 for the evening?
Correct.
Did the band perform that evening?
We did.
Did Mr. Phillips pay you?
He wrote 2 checks to us.
And in what amount were those 2 checks?
In the amount of $750 each.
Did he give you those 2 checks before or after the performance?
He gave me 1 check before, about a day or so before the performance, and then another check the day of the performance.
Before the performance?
Correct.
Do you have proof of their being dishonored by your bank?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Okay.
And that it was dishonored?
Yes.
Okay, got it. Band deposit, balance $750, and it was returned. Where's the other check? Okay. Why were the checks returned, Mr. Phillips?
First of all, Your Honor, this event...
Not first of all. No, my words. Why were the checks returned?
They were returned because there was no money to cover them. Because I did this event as a charity event.
Just a second.
And I was waiting for sponsorship
Mr. Phillips,
to cover the checks. Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Phillips, Mr. Phillips.
Yes,
You wrote checks on a bank when you knew that there were insufficient funds.
No, that's not.
Do you know that's a felony? Do you know
I've
that
never
that's
had
a
a
felony?
felony in my life, and I understand.
You, Mr. Phillips, I don't care. It's not important to me.
Oh, okay.
What the event was for. You hired the plaintiff for a certain fee, which was $1,500.
Yes.
And you gave him 2 bad checks. You can't do that.
I'm aware of that, and I do apologize.
Good. That's
to him.
perfect. Great. So, Mr. Hernandez, Mr. Phillips did give you some money, correct?
Correct.
How much did he give you? Eventually.
Right. $950. $350 in one payment and $600 in another one.
So he owes you $550.
There is one other check that I had that was no good as well from him. There's a total of 3 bad checks.
Well, how much were you supposed to be paid? You showed me 2 checks.
Correct.
One said $750 deposit, and it said balance $750.
Correct.
That's the evidence that you produced. What is this other check for?
Okay, so the other check was another check that was paid to Oscar, and the check wasn't any good. So it was another check for $2,000. And because I deal with Oscar, I told him, okay, give the check to me and I'll try to work it out with LP, Mr. Phillips. And so he did, and this check was also good.
So you covered him.
Mm-hmm.
Did Mr. Phillips agree to reimburse you for that?
Correct, he did.
Well, that's what I'm asking you. When did Mr. Phillips agree to reimburse you for that?
In conversations after the event.
Well, tell me about the conversations. Then I'm going to ask Mr. Phillips.
In my conversations, they were basically promises to pay with different dates.
No, he owes you, clearly he owes you $550.
Right.
The only question is, does your friend, who is your witness, have to pursue Mr. Phillips on his own? Or did Mr. Phillips agree to you covering that check and he would pay you? And I want to hear about that.
It was a verbal conversation that we had.
Well, tell me when and where it took place.
Probably
on the phone, in person?
Yes, on the phone. And we just made an agreement that he would pay everything that he owed me, including that.
He paid you $950. He only owes you $550. Mr. Phillips, did you write another bad check for the audio people?
Yes, I did. I presented a check. Once again, this is a charitable event, and I had sponsors that promised me to give me money, and I wrote that check with the intent that I was going to get the money that night.
Mr. Phillips, try just to pay attention to my question.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you and Mr. Hernandez agree to check for $2,000? I'm going to repeat that. That's a very simple question. Did you and Mr. Hernandez agree that Mr. Hernandez would make good on this bounce check to the stage guy for $2,000?
Can you not say the word bounced check again, please?
Well, say what bounced. There were insufficient funds. That's a bounced check.
Okay, I understand.
Did you agree with Mr. Hernandez? Did you ask him to make good on that check and you would pay him?
He requested that of me, yes.
On the phone?
On the phone.
Did you agree to do that?
Because, yes, I was expecting sponsorship money to come in, and it didn't, and I agreed.
So then the answer is, you did ask Mr. Hernandez to cover.
He told me what he was going
to. The $2,000 check. And you said, then I will give it to you when I get my sponsor's money.
Those are my exact words. Yes, ma'am. I did say that.
Fine. Very good. Then you owe him $25.50. Judgment for the plaintiff. Oh, excuse me. Do you have proof of your bank charges?
Yes.
I'd like to see them. Put them up.
You don't even want to see what I was going to show you about the stage?
No, I don't. I don't like people who write checks on bad accounts.
Well, no, it was not a bad account. It was a good account. It's for charity, for the Gay Pride, Whittier Gay Pride. I did it pro bono, trying to get sponsorship, Your Honor.
You can do it. He's not doing it for charity.
I know he wasn't.
He's not doing it for charity. That's your charity. Okay, just a second. So how much did they charge you?
They actually charged me
$5. Oh.
Yeah, that on one, and then...
And? The other?
That one.
So they charged you $10 altogether?
Yes.
Is that correct?
It is correct.
$25.60. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished. Thank you.
Thank you.
God bless you. By the way, nice meeting you.
This case is concluded.
And you.
Parties are excused.
Wrote the checks. They were bad.
I wrote those checks on, it's called a faith check.
Took them, thought they were good. A couple days later,
And all of a sudden, it didn't happen, but...
Noticed that they bounced.
Oh, you can take faith to the bank, but you got to have a little bit more than faith. You got to have that money in the hand, baby.
And from then on, it was just...
He's an incredible performer, and...
Can you pay me? And it went on for almost a year now.
You know, it happened the way it happened. I'm sorry it did.
It was amazing performance. My band Remix, incredible.
Thank God it's over.
All parties in the matter of Anders versus Warfield. Step to the podium, please.
Derek Anders Jr. is suing his former friend, Trevin Warfield, for stealing his stimulus.
You and Mr. Warfield were friends?
Yes, before.
And at some point, according to your papers, you received a stimulus check from the government in the amount of $1,200.
Yes, on April 27th.
How were you advised that you got that check?
Through the IRS. On my Cash App.
Do you have that Cash App with you so that I can see it?
It's an app. I have it on right here.
I'd like to take a look at it. Just put it up on the evidence screen.
For sure.
Thank you. Is that the only proof that you had that you got this stimulus check?
Yes. I also have a direct deposit of $1,200.
Of what?
A direct deposit in the same Cash App as a Cash App.
I'd like to see it.
Okay, for sure.
Yes. In what bank was it deposited?
It's Cash App is an app on your phone. That's basically the bank that I was deposited from.
Is that the way you pay your taxes, sir?
I don't think so, no. I wouldn't use Cash App for my taxes.
Well, how did they know to find you to give you $1,200?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your Honor, we were friends for 8 years. I've never stolen a dime from him.
Mr. Warfield?
Yes.
He's going to tell me what evidence he has that you took his stimulus money. I'm breathless, Mr. Anders.
Derek Anders Jr. says former friend Trevin Warfield appropriated stimulus money from his bank account.
Well, how did they know to find you to give you $1,200?
Yeah, I used my routing and account number and put it on the website.
So you went on the IRS website.
Yes.
Speak to me. Talk to me. I have to understand how this works.
Yeah, for sure. I went on the IRS website.
And
I put in my routing and account number, and then they sent the money over on Cash App, on my Cash App. And so, yeah.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm an entrepreneur.
What does that mean? I mean, I know what the word means. In what way are you an entrepreneur?
An entrepreneur. I'm a singer, songwriter, model, mogul, dancer, performer. I go, different places to try to make a living for myself. So basically, it's just, it's like entrepreneurship, like going out and doing what you want to do for your life and not having to worry about, like, actually.
Well, tell me the things. Who do you live with?
Right now, I'm currently just living at home right now with my family.
Who is your family?
Different people. I have, like, different family members. So many different family members that I have, No,
I want to know who you're living with now.
Right now, I'm, like, where I'm living, well, with my mom or, like, my mom, my stepfather, I have a stepbrother. I have so many relatives.
That's not a hard question, sir. And you said family. It's not a personal question if you're living with family. I just ask you what family you're living with. It's not a hard question. I live with my mother. I live with my brother. I live with my sister. That's not a hard question, sir.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm just trying to find out who my players are. Okie dokie. And according to you, and this evidence that you brought into me, you say that Mr. Warfield somehow appropriated $1,100 of your $1,200 stimulus money that was put in the bank by the IRS. Because I assume you did that because you are currently undomiciled, so they can't send you a check. So you went on the website to say, just put it in this PayPal or what is it, Cash App, whatever. So tell me what makes you believe, what evidence you have, Mr. Anders, that Mr. Warfield, who was once your friend, took $1,100 of your stimulus check.
Yeah, we
from
were
your
close friends.
entrepreneurships.
Your Honor, we were friends for 8 years. I've never stolen a dime from him.
Yeah.
I've never stolen a dime from him.
That's untrue, Your Honor.
Mr. Warfield.
Yes.
He's going to tell me what evidence he has that you took his stimulus money. I'm breathless, Mr. Anders.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Just from him, and Mr. Anders was just calling me all types of names and things like that, and it was ridiculous. And it just got really insane. I had to block him and cut off all communications with him.
Well, what did he say to you when he called 2 months later?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Derek Anders Jr. says former friend Trevin Warfield appropriated stimulus money from his bank account.
So tell me what makes you believe, what evidence you have, Mr. Anders, that Mr. Warfield, who was once your friend, took $1,100 of your stimulus check.
Yeah, we
from
were
your
close friends.
entrepreneurships.
Your Honor, we were friends for 8 years. I've never stolen a dime from him.
Yeah.
I've never stolen a dime from him.
That's untrue, Your Honor.
Mr. Warfield.
Yes.
He's going to tell me what evidence he has that you took his stimulus money. I'm breathless, Mr. Anders.
Yeah, I have evidence right here. It says this is the name that he goes by online. I guess it's called Little Hoochie Daddy. And we've been knowing each other for so long. That's his username on, I guess, Instagram or even on Cash App. That's the name that he goes by. And it says I have more evidence right here that says that he took it. It says payment to Little Hoochie Daddy. So you know that he used his phone. He got my login information and just basically used my account. So, I mean, when you think you're friends with somebody and they use your account and then they just, I guess he sent it to himself when I didn't know. I don't know. He logged in without my knowledge. That's the reason why I'm here. So my money was stolen.
I know the reason you're here, sir. I'm looking for proof that he took your money.
Right here it says payment to...
I see it. That's not proof he took it.
Well, through Cash App, you can send it to yourself. So, I mean.
Mr. Warfield,
Yes,
did
Your
Mr.
Honor.
Anders confront you about taking his money?
Mr. Anders did confront me. He confronted me 2 months later after the fact. I received threatening text messages from him on July 4th. I just landed in Florida, and Mr. Anders was just calling me all types of names and things like that, and it was ridiculous. I was at the airport arguing with him, and it just got really insane. I had to block him and cut off all communications with him.
Well, what did he say to you when he called 2 months
He
later?
was like, Trevin, I seen your name on my rep receipt. You stole my money. You're this, you're that. And I'm like, Derek, I have no reason to steal anything from you. We've been friends for 8 years. And for him to just accuse me of stealing his money is just completely ridiculous, Your Honor. I have no reason to steal from anybody.
What kind of work do you do, Mr. Warfield?
I'm a nursing assistant.
You traveled from California.
The 4th of July to go visit an old friend. I have a vacation house there. And so I went there to do some remodeling on it, some painting.
How long have you had the house there?
Since 2014.
Do you own that house in Florida?
No, I don't own it. Mm-mm.
Who does own it?
My friend owns it.
You said you were doing remodeling.
Yeah, I was helping him paint.
How long were you in Florida?
I was in Florida from July 4th through July 6th. Monday morning, I flew back to San Diego.
So you were just there for 1 day?
I was there for 2 days. I got there Saturday, July 4th, and flew back home July 6th.
And you helped him paint in that 1 day?
I helped him paint, yeah, 1 day, just 1 day. It was like a Sunday fun day project we did.
It's a long trip.
Well, it was worth it to see friends and things like that. So some things you just do for friends.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay. Mr. Anders, you have any other proof that Mr. Warfield took your money?
That's all besides his username, I mean.
Okay. I don't know whether he took your money or whether he didn't take proof that you.
I also have another,
some
more proof.
Well, then tell me. I'm ready to say goodbye to you.
The same proof that I showed you before is.
Don't show me the same proof you showed me before. Don't show me the same proof you showed me before. I saw your proof. You said you also have other proof.
Yeah, it was like it says, the 28th, the money was stolen, and on the 27th, the money was deposited.
We're done.
So, okay, yeah, obviously.
We're done. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
And on the next Judge Judy.
You thought it would be fun to start a YouTube channel.
He wasn't paying me half for all of the things that I put into the channel.
This was her first priority. This YouTube channel was her first priority.
No.
Judge Judy.
Oh, well, I'm very, very satisfied. Judge Judy did not believe him, as you can tell.
I think it was upsetting to me due to, having hard times and not being able to, make ends meet.
He was a complete fool on national TV.
And, the money was put into my account, obviously, on Cash App. I don't know if she knows what Cash App is.
All he does is lie, and he's just ridiculous.
But anyways, that's how I feel. And even if it was money's nothing but paper ink, like my grandma used to tell me.
To be honest, I really think he went out and partied with the money, which is ridiculous.
But at the same time, I do feel upset that the money's still not there.
Well, sometimes...
He lied. He said he didn't do it. Maybe he didn't do it. I don't know. There's another person that was on there that, that's all I have to say.
Accuse anybody of just doing something crazy like that.
Oh, no, we're not friends. We don't talk.
No, we're no longer friends. I don't need friends like that.
A day at the vet.
She backed right out of her own collar and she took off.
Became a week of worry.
We spent, all 7 days out looking.
Fortunately, the dog came back.
She was a mess.
Is the doctor in the doghouse?
She was yelling at me on the phone. She actually told me it was all my fault that my dog had gotten out. I said we are both at fault.
No, actually, that's not true.
This is Judge Judy. Tiffany Best is suing veterinarian Dr. Angelina Beeks for losing her Australian Shepherd, Callie.
Judge, this is case number 50 on the calendar in the matter of Best versus Beeks. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated.
Thanks, Bert. Miss Best, you have a dog. What kind?
She's an Australian Shepherd.
How long have you had her?
For about a year and a half now.
What kind of facility do the defendants own?
It's a veterinary mobile clinic.
And who is the vet? In addition to having the mobile clinic?
No, I do not. I go to several different places in the high desert where they don't have veterinarians. My main purpose is to help spay and neuter dogs and cats so we're not killing so many in the shelters. So I go where there aren't vets.
Okay. Where did you go to school?
Ross University Veterinary Medicine in the Caribbean.
How long a program is that?
It takes about 4 years. You have 3 years on the island. And then
What do you mean
have
about?
Some
What is
students
about?
don't take a break and they'll get out in 3.5 years. So some of us do 4 years, some do 3.5. I did 4.
Where in the Caribbean?
So you do 3 years down on the island in St. Kitts, and then you do your last year here in the United States at one of the veterinarian schools. My last year was at LSU in Baton Rouge.
And in what year did you attend there?
2010, and I graduated in 2014.
So you started in the Caribbean in 2010?
Yeah, it was, I believe I started in May of 2010, and then I finished at LSU in June of 2014.
And in what state are you board certified?
California.
Have you ever had a veterinary practice other than a mobile spay-neuter unit?
No, I have not. I worked at a practice for 3.5 years. I worked at Bear Valley Animal Hospital in Apple Valley for 3.5 years and other surgeries.
You had your dog for how long before you decided to have her spayed?
I had her for a year. What had happened was we were going to have her spayed previously, but we had a neighbor's dog jump the fence and she ended up pregnant. So what we did is we waited until she was done. She had the puppies in June, and then I scheduled this for the 31st of August.
Just a minute. She had the puppies in June?
Yes, in June.
June what?
It was middle of June. I believe it was June 18th.
How many puppies did she have? All of this becomes relevant. All be tied together.
Oh,
how many puppies did she have?
She had 9.
What was the father of these 9 puppies? What kind of dog?
German Shepherd.
So they were big puppies?
Yeah. They weren't very big, but I've never delivered puppies before, so I don't really have anything to base it off of.
And all 9 puppies survived?
Yes.
And did you give them away, sell them? What did you do?
I gave them away, actually, to friends and family.
How old were they when you gave them away?
9 weeks.
Okay, and during the first 6, 7 weeks, during that period of time, your dog nursed the puppies, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so this is your lawsuit. About 2 months after she had the puppies, you scheduled an appointment with the defendant to have her spayed because you didn't want to have that kind of accident again.
Yes, ma'am.
And you do understand that before she was a year old.
Oh, okay.
You do get that.
I do now. I haven't had to do it before.
Because she had already been through at least one heat period.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. She went to the defendant's. While she was in the defendant's care, she escaped, and she was gone, according to you, for 7 days.
Yes.
Fortunately, she made her way home, and she's back.
Yes.
And your lawsuit is for $5,000. You want both actual damages for the vet services and the punitive damages of just for losing the dog. I don't understand. You'll have to explain that to me, other than the fact that you were probably very upset that the dog was missing, which I actually do understand. I don't know whether that's something that you can be compensated for, unless, of course, you went and sought psychiatric care as a result of this. So you have some sort of damage. I don't know how to gauge your sadness because the puppy was missing. In any event, what day did you bring the puppy to the defendant, or what day did the defendant pick the puppy up?
I dropped off my dog, Callie, on August 31st at 9:35 in the morning.
And where is the defendant located?
About 10 miles from me, up in the Marianas almost. It's all dirt area, dirt fields, horse property out there.
When you dropped it off, did you drop it off?
It was her home, but the mobile vet unit is parked in front, inside the gate.
Did you see any other dogs there?
Yes, there was a whole line of vehicles. So what we had to do is line up and then let them know we were there, sign the paperwork, and then they would send somebody out to get our animal from us.
On what date were you notified that the dog was missing?
It was the same day, August 31st, and I got a phone call between 11:43 and 11:44 a.m. So 2 hours later. Yes.
Who did you speak to?
It was either Eric or Derek. It was hard to understand over the phone. He had called me.
Who's Derek Eric? Just one second. Who's Derek Eric?
It's Garrett. Garrett is
my surgical technician.
Is he here today?
No, he is not. My son, who has been helping me since COVID, he was the one he's also helping out as a veterinary assistant. So he was the one who actually went to get the dog to bring it to the truck to be spayed, and that's who it got away from.
Okay, so you got the call.
Yes, I got the phone call, and he just told me he sounded very panicked, which rightfully so. I understood that. He was very panicked. He said, "Could you please come back over? I was just told to call you to see if the owner would come help look for your dog." And I said, "Wait a minute, how did that happen?" Because, I was baffled. And he said that, well, a slip leash wasn't used and the front gate was left open. The front gate is never left open when there's other animals there.
Did he say who left it open?
No, he did not. He said that there's a newer employee working there and that he basically blamed him. And I didn't get a name until later on. So I loaded up my kids, and my daughter was mid-school on the distance learning. I had to take her off of it, apologize to the teacher, load them in the truck, and rush over there. And so when I got there, Miss Beeks, sorry.
No, it's Dr. Beeks.
Dr. Beeks was outside. She didn't say anything to me. She didn't acknowledge me. She just stood there with her arms crossed and a dirty look on her face. And I followed Garrett. I apologize for messing his name up earlier. He told me to get back in the vehicle and follow him, and he'll take me to where Callie was last seen. And I did. I followed him in the vehicle. We saw no signs of her, but then we saw, I believe, Chris. I think that is her son's name. We saw him, and he was running out there looking for her. He had Callie's leash and collar in his hands, and he was running up the sides of the hills. Because like I said, out there, it's all dirt. It's just fields, dirt, and sporadic homes.
On what date did Kelly return home?
September 6th, around 5 p.m.
Tell me how that happened.
To be honest, I'm not sure how it happened. I was very thankful for it, though. We were out looking. We spent, all 7 days out looking. It was over 100-degree temperature. They were in path home. And, we would do the little treats out the door that were her favorite with my kids, trying to find her. So we would always take the same path back, hoping that she would just catch a scent. We were told that dogs can smell for up to a mile. So we were just very hopeful. So, yeah, she dug a hole in the backyard to get in.
You were in the house when you saw her, or did she come to the door?
She came to the door. I was cooking dinner. It was around 5 o'clock. We usually went out.
Smell dinner.
Maybe. But, yeah, she dug a hole. We put some rocks in it to cover it so that we did keep 2 puppies so they don't get out. And she was panting. She was very skinny. She was very dirty. There was nothing bleeding or anything like that, but she had burrs stuck in her. She was a mess and very thirsty, but she was a mess. She was a mess.
Do you have a picture of Kelly?
Before or when she came home?
Both.
Okay, I sure do.
I would also, just for my own curiosity, love to see pictures of the puppies that you kept.
Oh, man, I did not bring a picture. Oh, wait, yes, I do. I do have one picture of one of the puppies that we have. Okay, so that's my girl. This is actually just a couple weeks ago. She was just laying there, and I was just checking her. It's usually after we give her a bath, and they're indoor-outdoor dogs. My dogs do not stay outside all day long. Of course, if we're gone, they go.
It's a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
And the other picture that you have?
The other picture that I have, that's the only picture I took. I was too excited when she got home and wanted to check her out, but that's when she got home. That's the back slider. She was scratching on the slider. I opened the door, and Remy was right there. That's one of her puppies, Remy. But she was just dirty. Her fur is very soft, and it just lays down flat. Her fur was stuck up in all areas just from the gunk, but it was over 100 degrees for that entire week.
Okay, I'm sure you were happy to see her, and that puppy's as cute as a bug's ear. That puppy is adorable.
Thank you.
You took Kelly to the vet. Do you have the vet bill?
I do have a vet bill.
May I see it, please?
Yes. And I did get the county voucher for $50, but because I used that, I won't be able to use it again because there's a limit on how many county vouchers you're allowed to use.
Did you have her spayed?
Yes, I have her rabies certificate and her spay certificate right here.
So the vet bill for that visit was $204, but you used a voucher, so it was really $254.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Other than the vet bill, did you have any other actual expenses?
Yes, I do. I had to make flyers. She did say she would make some, but the one that she made, my dog in the picture, it was just a very standard black and white, poorly done one.
So you made your own flyers?
Yes, I made flyers, and then I had to get the staple gun.
Stop. How much were the flyers?
$34 for the flyers and $39.99 for the staple gun.
What other actual expenses did you have?
Other actual expenses were that I had myself and 15 other people out searching their gas. That we used a lot of gas out for 7 days looking, and I would like to pay them back because, you know, they helped out of the graciousness of their hearts, but that is something that I believe they deserve back.
What else? So far, your actual expenses were $328. What else?
That was it for actual, because the gas I totaled.
Forget gas. For your friends. Okay, now you want to tell me how this happened? Is your son was there? Is that right?
Yes. So I was actually in doing surgery, and I heard...
I got it. Would you have your son step up, please?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She was very nasty on the phone. She wouldn't talk to us really at all. She just sent me a letter demanding $10,000.
So, Miss Best, where did you come up with the figure of $10,000?
Tiffany Best says her Australian Shepherd, Callie, escaped while in the care of veterinarian Dr. Angelina Beeks. She is suing for both actual and punitive damages.
Tell me your name.
My name is Christopher Beeks.
Mr. Beeks, want to tell me how the dog managed to get away?
I was just leading the dog from the cage to the RV, and as I opened the RV door, she got a little spooked, and she backed right out of her own collar, and since the gate was open, she saw, and she took off.
Well, who had left the gate open?
Whoever was checking in clients at the time, if they were still checking any cars that were at the gate.
The plaintiff says that you said to her that this was a new person.
I am the new person.
You're the new person?
Yes.
So the person who was checking people in their cars was whom?
Probably one of the receptionists who take the phone calls and sign in the guests. I was just moving the dog from one place to the other.
And none of those people are new?
No.
Prior to doing what you're doing now, helping your mom, what were you doing?
I worked at Dave & Buster's as a bartender, but because of COVID, everything shut down and haven't been able to really get another bartending job because they pretty much filled those spots as fast as they could.
Got it. And what do you do for your mother?
I just assist with whether it's keep an eye on dogs that have just come out of surgery, make sure they're still breathing, moving dogs from one place to another. That's basically the main things that I do as a volunteer.
So you understand, both you and your mom understand, that you are responsible for the actual financial damages that the plaintiff suffered as a result of your negligence. You understand that?
Understood.
Good. And Dr. Beeks, you do understand that?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I would have
And so
spayed
far-
the dog for her, you know, had she had brought it back and had been nice to us, but she was very nasty on the phone. She wouldn't talk to us really at all. She just sent me a letter demanding $10,000. That's the only conversations we were having. I had people out looking.
Do you have that letter?
Absolutely.
I'd like to see it.
And this was dated, I believe, the 3rd of September.
Okay. So, Miss Best, where did you come up with the figure of $10,000?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
And she was yelling at me on the phone. And then I said, hold on. I said, the collar was not on your dog properly. And she goes, oh, you're blaming this all on me. I said, no, I am not. I said, we are both at fault.
No, actually, that's not.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tiffany Best says veterinarian Dr. Angelina Beeks owes for temporarily losing her Australian Shepherd, Callie.
Where did you come up with the figure of $10,000?
Well, it's a stipulation to do something in writing for small claims court, so that is why I wrote the letter. I did that because I didn't know how much to put on it. I've never done small claims before. And as far as me being rude to them, that is not the case. She actually told me it was all my fault that my dog had gotten out, and then made mention later that that was her son. And I was never once mean to them. I was never mean to Mr. Beeks, not once. When I saw him in person, my kids were crying in the background.
I can imagine that you were upset.
I was, but I never once was mean. I even told him that I understand the accidents happen. And as far as not getting a hold of her, I text her all day one day, and she never responded until the next day. So honestly, yes, I had to escalate it because she was the one not responding to me.
Your Honor, that's not true. I talked to her that very same day. It was probably around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I called her when I got out of surgery, and I talked to her then, and she was yelling at me on the phone. And then I said, hold on. I said, the collar was not on your dog properly. She slipped out of her own collar. So you me, I said, no, I am not. I said, we are both at fault. One, my son didn't put a slip lead.
No, actually, that's not true, Dr. Beeks. That's not true that you're both at fault. Your facility is at fault for losing the dog. Fortunately, the dog came back.
Yes.
I mean, if your son is new, then that's not plaintiff's fault. If your son, who has training as a bartender, is now a veterinary assistant, as you describe him, that's on you. The problem is the amount that you're requesting, even $5,000, doesn't weigh with what happened.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
I mean, let us assume that your dog didn't come home.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, Kelly came home.
Yes.
But if she had not come home and was lost permanently, either to someone else or to predators, you could have sued the defendant for Kelly's cost, what you paid for her. That would have been the level of her responsibility.
Okay.
What you want now is, now that you got the dog back, you are certainly entitled to even the money which you may or may not use in the future. But those are your actual damages. And certainly this was not, there are things that are accidental and there are things that are on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
This was an accident. We clearly would say that this was not a result of anything purposeful on the part of either one of the defendants. It was an accident. And unless you can tell me that you had additional expenses that you can verify, like visiting a therapist to get you through this difficult period, your damages are $328. And I'm prepared to compensate you for that.
Okay. The only thing I was including in that, though, is my daughter missed 5 days of school. She couldn't go to school for those 5 days online. So she was having a hard time eating. She was having a hard time sleeping. She'd wake up from nightmares. I mean, that's...
Okay. $328. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're done.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
And on the next Judge Judy.
I'm not about to wreck anybody's marriage.
Her boyfriend failed to mention his wife.
She grabbed me and started beating my face.
He's the piece of garbage who broke your vows.
Judge Judy.
Heard the commotion. My son took off after the dog.
It was terrorizing.
He went out to help my son once he opened the door to bring the dog in.
The thing is she didn't. We were out every single day for 7 days. We never saw them out searching except for the very first day.
My son was chasing the dog. Garrett went with them. They kind of had her cornered down by the next property.
And I have it in text message proof that they only searched for 4 hours on the first day.
The area is, we're out in the desert, so everything is very big and wide. And
I just said that there was an accident that had happened at the vet. I said
she was able to get by both of them and took off.
As far as we know, Callie's still around here. We will find her. She's a smart girl.
No, she just had a collar and a leash, and her collar was on loosely, so she was able to...
She maybe even come home.
Pull her head out of the collar. And that's how she got away.
Oh, my gosh. We heard her scratching, opened the back door.
Oh, very happy Callie came home.
I couldn't even say anything. I literally just started crying.
They ought to make you have this dog muzzled at all times.
A neighborhood menace unleashed.
Mr. Nebrita's dog bit my dog. Mr. Nebrita was not present.
A second attack repeated the terror.
Gary came to the front of my garage. Athena noticed that he was coming in, and they actually scuffled again.
This man's garage? Don't embarrass yourself. Don't you have family?
This is Judge Judy. Gary Wong is suing his neighbor, Ronald Nebrita, for vet bills, broken glasses, and emotional distress due to a dog attack.
Judge, this is case number 76 on the calendar in the matter of Wong versus Nebrita. Parties have been sworn in. Sir, have a seat, please.
Thank you, Bird. Mr. Wong, you have a little dog, a poodle. Is it a standard poodle? Is it a miniature poodle? Is it a toy poodle?
He's a 10-pound miniature poodle.
How long have you had him?
Had him for over 3-4 years.
It is your claim that on 2 separate occasions, one in March of this year and once again in September of this year, that the defendant's dog, while unleashed, bit your dog. You have some substantial vet bills that you want him to be responsible for. Would you tell me about the first incident that happened in March of 2020?
Yes. So the incident happened at 10 a.m. Pretty much I went downstairs to walk my dog with a leash. And as I walked
Now, just a second, stop. Did you say off the leash or on the leash?
On leash. So he was on leash.
On leash.
Next to me. So I walk 4 houses away from my house, and then I noticed that Mr. Nebrita's around my dog and pretty much made my dog anxious. And then before I knew it, Mr. Nebrita's dog bit my dog. And then at that time, Mr. Nebrita was not present.
But had you ever seen Mr. Nebrita's dog before?
I have seen Mr. Nebrita's dog before.
So there was no question that the dog was his dog and came from his house. How far does he live from you?
He lives across the street and 1 house to the left.
Okay, so pretty close. How long have you had your dog, Mr. Nebrita?
For over 2 years.
Where were you on March the 30th, 2020?
I was actually
at 10 o'clock in the morning.
I was actually upstairs in my apartment.
And who was responsible for your dog?
My neighbor Paul was actually, I asked him to watch Athena as I went upstairs.
Okay, so you were outside with your dog whose name is Athena. What kind of a dog is Athena?
Athena is a German Shepherd and a Siberian Husky mix.
So you had been out with the dog?
No, we usually hang out in the garage. She sleeps in the garage, and, you know, we go up and down into the apartment. And Paul, my neighbor...
Okay, you and Athena were in the garage.
Right, at the time.
And at the time, Athena was off-leash with you in the garage. You were putting around.
Yes.
Your neighbor came in and you went upstairs.
Correct.
And you left your neighbor in charge of the unleashed dog.
In the garage, yes.
In the garage.
Correct.
Well, I assume the garage was so that the dog could just walk out of the garage.
She could have, yes, and yes, because it was open.
Well, that's what she did.
Yes.
That's what she did. She walked out and she was off leash.
Correct.
So there's no question that you're responsible for any vet bills that the plaintiff has for the March 30th incident. You understand that?
Okay. But
now, did Mr. Wong come to your house? How did you find out that your dog had bitten his dog?
Well, he came to my house, not knowing that he actually went to the vet for his dog, and I told him that, you know, I would be, as neighborly, I would help him out with some of the bill, possibly if I had extra cash or whatever.
Not neighborly. Did your neighbor with whom you left Athena tell you that your dog had been involved in an incident? The neighbor is here.
Yes.
Let him stand up. I want to see him. Would you move over, please? You're his neighbor. What is your name?
Paul Politi.
You were watching Athena. Is that what he told me? Is that true?
Yes, I was.
Now, Athena left the garage and went across the street.
That didn't happen.
No, look at me. Look, just a second.
At you.
Look at my eyes.
Yes.
Athena left the garage and went across the street. Did you follow
each other? The two dogs approached each other, and then that's when I seen Gary's dog bit Athena, so she reacted and bit it back. And then...
That couldn't have happened if Athena wasn't out without a leash. Sit. What were the vet bills for March 30th?
The March 30th bills was $1,487.
Did he give you any money towards those bills?
So after I approached Mr. Nebrita to try to work out the situation, he was telling me the situation is like, oh, with COVID, everything, it was very difficult for him. So we tried to work out a plan.
Did he give you any money is my question.
No.
The answer is no, he did not.
No.
Now, I'd like you to tell me what happened on September 16th.
So what happened on September 16th, it was 7 p.m. and I came down from my apartment and I was going to take out the garbage and then walk my dog right after. And I look across the street and I see Mr. Nebrita walking over to another neighbor's house located. And so I assumed that he was going to talk to some friends. Then I look over to where his place is, and then I noticed that his dog, Athena, was right across the street staring at my dog.
Just stop. Was she across the street alone?
Yes, across the street alone and unleashed.
He wasn't there?
And
Is that what you're telling me?
yes,
That Athena was across the street. Now, was your dog on a leash?
he was on leash.
Yes?
Yes.
Then tell me what happened.
So I went down to pick up my dog, and then before I knew it, Athena ran over and pretty much bit my dog. Then I'm trying to grab Athena to try to get him off. And all I just hear is my dog just started screaming. So then I just hear like bites after bites, and then I'm just trying to shout, "Get off my dog, get off my dog." Soon after, I hear Mr. Nebrada saying, "Athena, get off, get off." And then after a couple bites, then he finally let go of my dog.
Your version.
I was in the garage with
Nebrida,
Athena.
your version.
I was in the garage with Athena. Gary came to the front of my garage. Athena noticed that he was coming in, and they actually scuffled again. And it wasn't even that long of a time for her to really actually bite and attack her, but no.
Are you telling, listen to me,
Yes,
Nebrida,
yes.
are you telling me that after the March incident, this man let his poodle come into your garage? Is that what you're telling? That's what you want this face to believe?
It happened in front of my garage.
This is what
Yes.
you want? This is what you want this face to believe, that after this young man witnessed his came over, crossed the street from his house to your house to the open garage.
Yes.
He did that.
In front of my garage.
You're an idiot. You want me to believe that after he witnessed his dog being bloodied in March, that had to be stitched up in March, he took his 10-pound dog across the street to your unleashed dog, who was again sitting in the garage, sitting in the garage. Don't embarrass yourself. Don't you have family who watch television? Don't humiliate yourself. How much were the bills in September?
The bill in September was $4,500.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. They ought to make you have this dog muzzled at all times. And you better check your homeowner's insurance. If you have a job, the next time it happens, they're going to garnish your salary or take away your car or whatever else they have. Goodbye. We're finished.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
With Athena being a larger dog and Gary's dog being smaller, his wounds were a lot worse.
It's definitely a relief to actually get some sort of conclusion.
Well, I was in the garage when Gary did come in front of the garage.
Well, especially with the first incidents, I avoid his house as much as possible.
All parties in the matter of Estrada versus Barreco. Step forward, please.
Angela Estrada says her former tenant, Madison Barrett, and damages to her home.
Miss Estrada, the defendant was a tenant of yours.
Yes.
From when to when?
She originally rented the house in June of 2018. She moved in with her boyfriend.
I didn't ask you who she moved in with.
I'm sorry.
I just said, when did her tenancy start?
Her tenancy started
June of 2018. Did she have a one-year lease or a two-year lease?
It was originally a one-year lease that went to a month-to-month tenancy thereafter.
So she was a tenant of yours from June of 2018 to May 31st, 2019, when she became a month-to-month tenant.
Yes.
Thereafter, she was your tenant until June of this year?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
From June 2018 to June 2019, did the defendant pay you rent?
Yes, ma'am.
And from June of 2019 until May of 2020, did the defendant pay you rent?
Yes, ma'am. Not always on time towards the end.
Well, you were aware as a landlord that there was a moratorium on eviction for tenants.
Yes, ma'am. I never tried to evict her.
That's not my...
Okay.
There was a moratorium on eviction for non-payment of rent because of the pandemic starting in March. You were aware of that?
Yes, ma'am.
And despite the fact that you were aware that you were forbidden to evict the defendant, she paid you rent in March, in April.
No, ma'am. She didn't pay in April.
No rent in April. In May?
She paid April's rent in mid-May, and she paid May's rent at the end of May.
What difference does it make? You got paid for 3 months' rent, despite the fact that you had no recourse if she stopped paying you rent.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct? So she was one of the good guys who continued to pay rent even though their landlord would have no recourse if they stopped.
I didn't have an issue with her paying the rent.
So that's just, well, That's not 100%
On time.
true, because you have in your complaint late fees.
Yes, ma'am. That was in our contract.
You understand what I'm saying? So I am eliminating that. And the only part of your complaint that I'm going to hear is, because the rest of it is nonsense, Mr. Strader. You should say thank you very much for being an honest person and paying your rent, even though I couldn't have done anything to you if you didn't.
Without my permission, Miss Barreco painted the bedrooms. She left painter's tape. It peeled all of the paint off.
You hadn't painted the house in 5 years.
Yes, ma'am.
Time to paint.
Angela Estrada is suing her former tenant, Madison Barreco, for property damage, utilities, lock-changing fees, and for prorated rent she never paid.
Now, she gave you a security deposit, and the security deposit was how much?
$1,000.
Did you return the security deposit to her?
No, ma'am.
So you kept the security deposit, for which I assume you are alleging damage.
Yes, ma'am. Lots of damage.
So far, $1,000 of that you've kept for some of the damage. Now I would like to see what you are alleging she caused in damage to the premises that is $4,000 worth.
Absolutely. We had an appointment for her to come through a walkthrough. Actually, we made several appointments.
That is not a question that I asked you. What I asked you was, I'd like to see photographs of the damage that you are photographs.
Okay. This first photograph is of the security door as you get to the house. And when I got to the house, the security door couldn't close any longer because it had been pried open at some point, and it would no longer shut, lock, or close.
Okay. Stop right there. Leave that there. Miss Barreco, how did that happen to the door?
The door, it wasn't that bad when we moved in 2018. I'll admit that. It was not that bad. There was one day that we were outside. We had to pry that open because of how old that screen was.
Okay. Now, what I'd like to see is a bill to repair that door, the security door. Okay. Security door replaced, new security door installed, replaced broken jambs, new door installed. Okay. $360. What's next?
When I got to the house, this is the air filter in the hallway, and it had never been changed, and it was actually sucked up into the vent. I know it hadn't been changed because I dated
Next. You should have changed it. You're the landlord. Next.
This is one of the rooms. The carpeting could not be cleaned. It was filthy, so I had the carpeting removed.
And you want her to pay for new carpeting?
Yes, ma'am. The carpeting was brand new when she moved in.
The carpet was not brand new. She had tenants living there before me.
I had it professionally cleaned before she moved in.
But it wasn't.
Apologize.
That's a different story.
It was
That's a different story.
Like
What's
new
next?
conditioner.
What's next?
In one
What's
of the bedrooms,
next? $360.
Without my permission, Miss Barreco painted the bedrooms and then tried to repaint over where she had painted them. She left painter's tape attached to the walls, and you can see it's not covering the actual paint at all. When I took the painter's tape off, it peeled all of the paint off.
Miss Estrada, how many rental properties do you have?
Just the one, Your Honor. This was my grandfather's house. He left it to me.
In what year?
It would have been almost 11 years ago. It'll be 11 years ago in a month from when he passed away.
And have you constantly rented that house?
Well, I spent a year renovating it. I took out a very large loan and renovated the whole house.
Just a second. Has the house been consistently rented since then?
Most of the time, yes. There might have been a month or two gap, but for the most part, it's been rented the whole time.
Have you done any renovations or refurbishing since you totally renovated the home 11 years ago?
I replaced the carpet 5 years ago, 2 years before Miss Barreco was in it. So when I say I replaced it, it would have been
5 years ago?
Yes, ma'am.
Did a new tenant move into the house?
Since Miss
After
Barreco left?
The defendant left?
6 weeks fixing everything.
So she moved in August 1st?
The new tenant moved in August 1st, yes.
And you were paid your rent from the defendant through most of June?
Yes, ma'am.
So the only month that you didn't have
was July.
Was July. And you hadn't painted the house in 5 years.
Yes, ma'am.
According to you.
Yes, ma'am.
Time to paint.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Do you know anything about a broken window?
The window that she's talking about that's cracked or missing or whatever was from the gardeners, so I was not going to pay for the window that they broke.
Do you know how the gardeners broke that window?
Maybe a rock hit it, I don't know.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Angela Estrada is suing her former tenant, Madison Barreco, for property damage, utilities, lock-changing fees, and for prorated rent she never paid.
Now, clearly, you were able to put the house in sufficient conditions so that in August, with only 1 month downtime, you have a new tenant. Show me the other pictures of the other damage that you're alleging. So far, you have $1,000 in security deposit that you retained.
Flush, and the toilet seat was broken, so I had to call
the plumber. $273.12.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now we're up to $633. What's next?
The house was left very, very dirty.
Now I will see a bill from a cleaning service to clean the apartment after the defendant left.
This was the bill for the cleaning company to come in and clean the house.
Great. Window cleaning, she's not responsible for. So that's $400 that you paid to clean.
Yes, ma'am.
$1033. What else?
When she moved out, she
What else?
She didn't return all of the keys. I had to have the locks changed.
That's your business. What's next?
There was also one window that was broken and one that was missing completely, so I had to have those two windows replaced.
Picture, please. Do you know anything about a broken window?
I had replaced a broken window, yes, but the other window, no. And the window that she's talking about that's cracked or missing or whatever was from the gardeners, so I was not going to pay for the window that they broke. That was not on me.
Ms. Barreco never let me know there was a broken window.
Do you know how the gardeners broke that window?
Maybe a rock hit it, I don't know, but I know for a fact that it wasn't me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by... Have you been cheat us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter?
Did you replace a window?
I replaced a window, yes.
Tell me when you replaced a window and how did it come about that you needed to replace a window?
The window in the living room. My dog, there was somebody walking and he was barking and he pushed the window and it fell out and broke. I had that one replaced. But that one, I don't know, okay. And the gardener.
This was in one of the bedrooms. And as you can see, there's no window there.
Okay, very good. Would you remove the phone, please, and let me see the bill?
That's the glass shop bill.
$110. That's the glass.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so far, she owes you $143. You kept $1,000 of her security deposit. The overage of what you showed me is $143.
Additionally, she threw out all of the curtains in the house. She admits to throwing them out.
Miss Estrada?
Yes, ma'am.
$143. Consider yourself lucky. We're finished. This case is over. Goodbye.
Case is concluded. Parties are excused.
And on the next Judge Judy, the reasons to evict were growing.
He brought in his daughter, and then he brought in his second daughter, and then he brought in his third daughter.
You had 60 days to leave. Why didn't you?
Judge Judy.
Mother's house.
I am glad with the decision because I don't believe I should have paid anything.
It just broke my heart that she would be so disrespectful to me.
The house was not in perfect condition before I moved in.
A fitness instructor's questionable technique.
The agreement was I would collect payment at the end of the classes.
That's not a way to do business.
I thought I could trust her.
Now,
we never completed the sessions.
Logic gets a workout.
What justification is there for you not to pay her any money?
She was late. Half the classes weren't even 2 hours.
She probably doesn't understand what she's trying to say.
This is Judge Judy. Zumba instructor Taylor Coco Patterson is suing former student Nikki Herrera for the cost of classes.
Judge's case number 94 on the calendar in the matter of Patterson versus Herrera. The parties have been sworn in, Your Honor.
Ms. Patterson, you allege that you had a contract with the defendant, and that contract provided that she was going to pay $2,000 for private dance classes that you were going to provide her. Those dance classes were Zumba classes. That's a very active form of dancing that's real, but I am familiar with it. How long have you been a Zumba instructor?
for approximately 5 years.
Do you give private lessons as well as lessons for groups?
Yes.
Miss Herrera, how did you find Miss Patterson? Who referred you to her?
I actually found her on Instagram. A few people I saw on my timeline had already booked her, and so I just reached out to them.
In what month and year did you reach out to her?
It was January of 2020.
How far away does she live from you?
About 2 hours.
It's a 2-hour drive?
With traffic, yes.
What was the contract you made with her?
So the contract that I made with Taylor was actually for 10 Zumba private classes for the $2,000.
When were they supposed to start?
January 30th of 2020.
Was that a weekend or a weekday?
It was a weekday. Our first class was a weekday.
So you had a round trip of 4 hours on that day?
Correct.
So you went to the first class?
I did.
Did you go to a second class?
Yes, ma'am.
On what date?
I can't remember the exact date, but it was supposed to be on Thursdays and Saturdays. So my first class was on a Thursday, and then the second class was that Saturday.
What was the second date you went for a class, Miss Patterson?
Well, the first date was January 30th. The second date would have been Saturday, February the 1st.
To another?
No, it wasn't going to be like that. It was like 2 days a week, typically Thursdays and Saturdays, because those were days that we agreed upon that we would both be available.
Did she attend the class on February 1st?
Yes.
And there were supposed to be 10 of these classes for $2,000. Is that right?
Yes, 2-hour classes, 10 2-hour classes, yes.
Now, you had never met her before, so could you explain to me, as somebody who's been in the business for 4 or 5 years, and since you never met her before, could you explain to me why you didn't, as people usually do in this kind of business when they do classes, you want to take 10 classes, great, it's $2,000. You pay up front and then you eat off whatever it is. You not only didn't ask for any money up front, but she didn't even pay you when she came, at least the first 2 classes. You want to explain that to me?
Yes, because the agreement was, number one, the first reason is she was referred by a longtime client of mine.
Well, that's what you say. That's not what she says. She says that she found you through Instagram.
Through a client of mine.
You may have.
So a client that
That's not what she said.
Well, she probably doesn't understand what she's trying to say. A human being referred her to me. So she may have reached out to that human being. That human being reached out to me and then vouched for her as a person that I should work with. Number two.
Well, she says she got you via Instagram.
But Instagram is
and
like
she
friends.
Got you via
you have
Instagram
friends
from
on Instagram.
Somebody.
Yeah.
I understand that. I understand that. So she found it on her Instagram. Somebody that she knew had taken classes from you. That person contacted you.
Yes.
And that's how you got together.
Yes.
Okay. But she found you on Instagram.
Through a friend, through a mutual friend.
Another person who she was
friends with,
connected to on Instagram.
Who had taken my classes.
You don't necessarily have to be a friend to somebody who's on Instagram. You know, people have 967 people.
Right.
I think I know 967 people in my whole life that I would send a photograph to.
Try 30,000.
Do you want to try to explain to me why you didn't take any money from her the first 2 classes?
Because the agreement was that I would collect payment at the end of the classes. And, you know, me being...
But that's not a way to do business. Nobody does business like that in the training business. No trainer comes in and says, you do your class.
I do. I have worked with trainers before who I have not paid up front, who have collected from me at the end. So it might not have been the wisest decision. Hindsight is 20/20 vision, you know, but it was the decision I made. I was trying to be friendly, jovial, paid in this same exact manner. I had no problems collecting payment. The classes are worth it. They were good. So the person who referred her was someone I also trusted. So I thought it would be okay this time around.
What's the name of the person who referred you?
Summer.
Summer what?
I only know her first name is Summer. She's not someone I wouldn't know her last name. Instagram is typically Instagram name, first name, but she's my client.
You said she was a very good client of yours.
She was, but I know her as Summer.
You say in your complaint she was referred to me
by a longtime client.
By a longtime client.
Yes. But
whose last name you don't know?
No, you know how many people I know? I don't know their last names. No. I'm sorry.
Well, if you look in your phone, how would you list Summer if she was a longtime client, if you had to get in touch with her?
Summer Bunny.
So find it in your phone.
It's on my Instagram.
Well, your Instagram is also on your phone.
Right, but What do you want me to do?
Well, if she was a long-time client, let me ask you this question, madam. If you want me to fully understand you.
Okay.
If you had a long-time client whose name was Summer, whose last name you don't know.
Right.
But you got sick, and you had to call them or notify them not to come to the class because you were sick, as you were sick a couple of times when she was supposed to take classes, how would you get in touch with Summer?
2 ways.
You
Either
sent her a photograph of you in bed?
I would text her on Instagram. I would send her a DM on Instagram and let her know that I wasn't feeling well and I wasn't going to be able to make it. And that's how I would reach her. And she might not reply back.
All I want you to do is take out your phone.
Yes.
And show me on Instagram text Summer. And show me that goes through on Instagram. I'm here doing a case with a person you referred to me. I just would like to see it.
No worries.
To Summer.
Oh, here she is. So should I sit it here?
Yes, please.
All right. So I'm going to sit my phone here. So
Great.
unfortunately, you're going to see other messages I've sent to Summer. But
Great.
This is her profile.
Great. Okay. Now that you've found this, can you find me possibly where you have any communication about the defendant with Summer?
Oh, no, we had verbal conversations. Like at the end of a class, I spoke with her and she mentioned her to me. And also by way of just phone call.
Phone call?
Yeah, phone call or either a class.
Phone call. Well, also
But she and I, you know, we were doing a class together. No, we were doing a class together, and that's where she mentioned her.
Okay. How many classes in total prior to the pandemic did Miss Herrera take from you?
Well, the pandemic happened, we completed, no, not approximate, but 8 classes.
Is that correct? How many round trips did you make to her house?
I took 7 classes. She missed the last 3.
No, I missed 2.
It was 3.
I missed 2.
She missed the last 3.
Okay. Did you pay her for those classes?
No.
Why?
Well, I was supposed to pay her at the end of our session, our 10 sessions. We never completed the sessions to even do that. She just sent me an invoice.
So you don't think that because you took 7 2-hour classes with her, you have any responsibility to pay her?
No, because they weren't even the full classes. She was late. Half the classes weren't even 2 hours. And she didn't, so I don't understand why am I paying for classes that weren't complete?
You have a piece of paper there.
Mm-hmm.
What is that piece of paper?
These are my notes.
What are those 2 pieces of paper?
These are my notes, and this is the invoice. And then one of our text messages that I found. I have a new phone and number, so this was just the last that I had.
Okay. I'd like to see the invoice she sent you. Well, what is that? That is a nothing. Take that away. That's a nothing that somebody made up. Okay. Now let me see the text message. What is this? I'm staying that Friday, leaving on Saturday. Is those messages from her?
So this is my message here. This first message, she missed a lot of...
I'll be there Friday.
Correct. She missed she missed classes, and she was supposed to, let me know when we can make them up. So I was messaging her, letting her know I was going to be in her city this day, but I was not staying. And so I just let her know I was going to be here to see if maybe we can, get together for a class. And she said yes, but it just took her forever to respond.
Unless you need me. Delayed response. I'm preparing for you. Yes, we can get together Saturday afternoon. Also, what about your friend? What's the friend?
She asked me a while back if I knew anyone who did hair, and I sent her the person's name or whatever, and that was it. But they didn't respond back to her, so I think that's what she was responding, like, what happened to your friend? But I called her because it takes her forever to even respond to me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I just feel like I came to her classes. I'm driving 2 hours. Half the time, she's late to every class. Why am I paying you for a class and you're not even giving me the full
So why
hours?
didn't you just say I'm not coming anymore?
And later today.
Why don't you sue him? He sold the salon.
Because I have no idea where...
He sold the salon.
I have no idea where he is.
Zumba instructor Taylor Coco Patterson claims former student Nikki Herrera owes for classes.
Okay, I'm going to take your figure that you took 7 classes. It still means that you owe her $1,400. How can you not pay her anything? What justification do you have? And this is the end of February, when you've already taken, according to you, most, if not all of the classes that you took, what justification is there for you not to pay her any money?
Okay, first and foremost, Your Honor, I just feel like I came to her classes. I'm driving 2 hours. We get there, half the time she's late to every class. The class is only 2 hours. Why am I paying you for a full class, and you're not even giving me the full
So why
hours?
didn't you just say, I'm not coming anymore?
Well, I did later on.
Why didn't you just say, I'm not coming anymore? I'm not making a 4-hour trip if you're going to be late.
Well, Your Honor, that's kind of why I kind of just stopped, going to the classes, the last few classes.
Well, that's okay, but then you stop and you pay her. You don't stop and don't pay her.
So I'm going to pay her for
That's
classes
irresponsible.
that didn't get completed? That doesn't make sense.
It makes perfect sense to me. If you took the class, if you said to her, sorry, you're a half hour late, and if you say it happened the first time she was a half hour late, and I admit, I'm going to pay you for the class that I took, or the 2 classes that I took, but I'm not coming back here. I'm not making a 4-hour round trip if you're going to be disrespectful of my time and come a half hour late.
I've spoke to her.
And you spoke to her, but you continued to come. You're ridiculous.
I mean, I figured she would change
Pay
up
for the classes. I'm not giving you the $2,000 that you want. I don't think you're entitled to money that you didn't earn, but you did do some work.
I did work.
$1,400 cover the hourly?
Yes.
$1,400. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done. Thank you.
Thank you.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
I don't agree with it, but I respect it.
I could have done a better job about collecting payment up front.
It is what it is. I just know not to do business with her again.
She wanted to work on the booty. She wanted to get her booty right.
I had a young man, so I was trying to get my groove back.
Money up front from now on out. You can't trust anyone.
All parties in the matter of Ernst Palmer versus Trivedi Abus Yunus. Step to the podium, please.
Joyette Ernst Palmer is suing Ravi Trivedi and Rabi Abu Yunus for property left behind at a salon they purchased.
Ernst Palmer,
Yes.
your business is or was in a tanning salon, and you had your own tanning salon piece of equipment.
Yes, I was a mobile service, and this was the first time I was working out of
To a salon.
Correct.
They had nothing to do with the salon that you brought your machine to. Who was the owner of the salon that you brought your machine to?
The owner was Asfer. It was under previous ownership when I was originally hired back in May of 2019.
Okay. Now, at some point, you agreed to sell your mobile unit to Mr. Asfar.
Correct.
For $1,000.
Yes, ma'am.
When did you make that agreement with Mr. Asfar?
I made it on January 21st of 2020.
And he paid you for the unit, according to your complaint, $660.
Correct, in increments.
And Mr. Asfar had a balance of $340.
Correct.
That he owed you.
Yes.
On the machine.
Yes, ma'am.
And then you were whole. And then Mr. Asfar sold the salon to these 2 gentlemen.
Correct.
That was when? When did you purchase the salon? Month and year?
February 6th, 2020.
When they purchased the salon, did you advise them that the piece of equipment had a balance due of $340?
Yes, I did.
Is that correct?
No, that's
No.
not correct.
Did she at any time tell you that she had a prior agreement with...
No, we were not aware of any prior agreement whatsoever.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Okay, so when did you have a conversation with either one of the 2 defendants?
I spoke with Robbie. It was in March because I was still waiting for the rest of the money from Mr. Asfor. And I told him
Yes.
I'm still owed $340 for my equipment.
So
and
why don't you, just a second, why don't you sue him? He sold the salon.
Because I have no idea where...
He sold the salon, whether you had...
I have no idea where he is.
Well,
My
that's not-
personal stuff...
That's not my problem.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Did you have a lawyer?
It went through my CPA.
So your accountant had to speak to the seller's representative. Just say yes or no.
Yes,
Don't shake your head. This is audio-visual.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Joyette Ernst Palmer claims Ravi Trivedi and Rabi Abu Yunus owe for a tanning machine and personal property left behind at a salon they purchased. She is also suing for lost wages.
Okay, go ahead.
They have all my stuff.
No, they
also
have none of your stuff. No.
They have it in the salon. He
No,
wouldn't let me
they have-
take it.
No, listen to me. Because COVID struck, he got rid of all the towels and robes and that stuff. There's no question that they have a contract that they're going to show me. Is that correct? That you purchased the shop and all the stuff in the shop?
That's correct.
You want to put that up there? Good. Just point to the area in the purchase agreement where you purchase everything that's in the salon.
Yes. So we have the excluded liabilities and assumed liabilities.
Oh, well, that's an interesting thing. So, Mr. Erspower.
Yes.
Your lawsuit is against Mr. Asfor, not the defendants. You've been paid $660 for your tanning machine on a $1,000 purchase price. Mr. Asfor owes you $340.
Correct.
Not the defendants.
Along with they have my stuff, though, in the salon. I never agreed to sell my personal stuff, just the machine.
Just for my own information, what personal stuff are you talking about?
I brought 2 sheets with me. I brought hair accessories.
I'm not interested in sheets. Not interested in your hair accessories. What's next? Come on.
That is my
You're being
personal
foolish
stuff
with me.
that is my personal stuff
Okay.
that I purchased and I brought from home.
Do you have any of that stuff? Do you have 2 sheets and hair accessories is my question.
We do not have it anything. It
They
was
don't
never
have it.
there.
What's next? Just a second. I don't care. I just want to know if you, I'm just asking if you have her 2 sheets and her hair accessories, the wrong people for your tanning machine. You have to find and sue Mr. Asfor, and maybe they can even help you locate him because they paid him $33,000. So right? You paid $33,000 for the business?
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm sure you have a bank account that you had to pay the money to, unless you paid him in cash. Did you pay him in cash?
We paid via the cashier's check.
Did you have a lawyer on this sale of the business? Did you have a lawyer?
It went through my CPA. We didn't go through the lawyer.
Fine, so you have an accountant.
Yes, ma'am.
So your accountant had to speak to the seller's representative. Just say yes or no.
Yes,
Don't shake
ma'am.
your head.
Yes,
This is, audio visual.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay, I'm directing you to make available to the plaintiff any information that you have that will enable her to locate Mr. Asfor for her $340. Do you understand?
That's correct. We do have his driving license and it has his address. She could reach out.
Perfect.
Excuse me, Your
that's
Honor. I lost wages. I had clients calling.
We're done. They don't owe you a thing. Mr. Asfor owes you $340. Find him. They're going to give you his driver's license. We're finished.
What about my other stuff that's there? If they don't have it, don't they owe me?
No, they owe you nothing.
I'm not owed the money to
They owe you
repurchase?
Nothing. They owe you nothing. They don't owe you for your 2 sheets or your hair accessories. We're finished.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
And on the next Judge Judy, a party planner didn't pay her bills.
I never received a billing.
We're not going to be able to come to a resolution in this case unless we cut out the baloney.
Next Judge Judy.
I think it was straight to the point and justice was served.
I will be contacting the previous owner.
Get ready to back to business. Yes, please.
Time to get back to business.
This lawsuit is about the deal that you had with them.
For the termination of our lease.
The proof from tenants is in black and white.
If it doesn't say it in that letter, then it's not in that letter.
It doesn't say that in the letter.
Okay.
And a landlord learns there's no gray area.
It has to be in written form. You snookered him.
This is Judge Judy. Jonathan and Sarah Santibanez are suing their former landlord, Dave Schaefer, for the return of rent and their security deposit.
Judge's case number 125 on the calendar in the matter of Santibanez versus Schaefer. Parties have been sworn in. Sir, have a seat, please.
Mr. and Mrs. Santibanez, you rented a house with your family of 8 people from the defendant since 2014, so a little over 6 years. And according to your statement, in the end of July of this year, Mr. Schaefer advised you that he wanted you out of the house by October the 1st, and at all times you have been current in your rent. I think that all the parties will agree with that. Yes. Correct, Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
What was the address of the house that you rented from Mr. Schaefer?
The address was 1750 in Oceanside.
Mr. Schaefer, when did you purchase 1750?
Probably about 2 years before that.
Before they rented it, so in
Yeah.
approximately 2012.
Yeah.
How much did you pay for it?
I think it was $470,000.
Did you ever live there?
Well, I was working on it, yeah. I do my own work, so I lived there on and off for the full 2 years.
So you bought it as a to use as a rental property.
Yeah, well,
Is
we
that what
wanted to
you're
sell
telling
it. We wanted to sell it, but that didn't work out.
Well, after you fixed it up,
Yeah.
you tried to sell it, and that was in 2012. Is that what you're telling me?
Okay, yeah.
Couldn't sell it, so you decided to rent it.
Yes.
And they paid rent. Their rent was $3,200 a month.
I think at the beginning was a little less.
But now, the last year or two or more, it was $3,200 a month. What was it initially?
Initially, it wasn't it 3,000?
Initially, it was $2,850.
$2,850.
And then it progressively went up.
Okay. But your rent when you left was $3,250.
Correct.
And you did, in fact, leave by October 1st.
Yes.
Correct?
Correct.
Do you still, Mr. Schaefer, own 1750?
Yes.
Is it currently on the market for sale?
Yes.
That is not an answer, Mr. Schaefer. Is it an escrow?
It's for sale.
Do you currently have it on the market for sale?
Yes, it is currently on the market.
The answer is yes.
For sale.
That is not true.
Oh.
There's
Just
no MLS.
Would you? I'm going to.
Thank you.
What is it on the market for sale? At what price?
We
Mr.
didn't
Schaefer?
have a price. The real estate agent is here with me as a witness, and we never settled on a price. We have to do a little work on it first.
House now.
Nobody's living in it now.
Okay. They moved out on October 1st. What work have you done in the house?
Well, since then, we've tried to get the little stream running on the front. We've added a couple of closets in bedrooms so that they would actually be called bedrooms, because you have to have a closet and them to be calling a bedroom. Some patching work on one main wall in the main house, and we turned one of the little garage rooms below into another bedroom, and we had to make that...
So you've renovated the house in order to double what you paid for it.
That would double what we paid for it. Not what we had in it, but double what we paid for it, yes.
Double what you paid for it.
Yes.
And during the past 6 years or so, you've had a tenant who's faithfully paid you on average of $3,000 a month for the house. Now, this is what the situation is. You made a deal with the plaintiffs, Mr. Schaefer, and your deal with them was that if they left the house in good condition, not only would they get their security back, but if they cooperated with the realtor, who is your witness, you would return their September's rent, which was $3,250. When they moved out, you not only didn't give them their September's rent back, but you deducted money from the deal that you had with them, that you would pay them sort of a bonus. To get out by October 1st.
Exactly.
And this is during a COVID moratorium on evictions, you understand,
yes,
in the state of California. So you would give them a bonus if they moved out on October 1st and return their security. Your answer suggests that, well, they did a little bit of damage. So you deducted $800 for their security, and they didn't fully cooperate with the realtor.
They didn't cooperate at all. And that's what he's here to go along with.
Great. So they didn't cooperate at all?
Not at all.
So those are basically the facts. Do I get that right, sir?
Yes, in a sense.
Well, what sense is wrong?
I do have the notice to terminate the lease, where it does say nothing about cooperating with a realtor, if you'd like to see it.
I would. The letter that he sent you that you agreed to?
For the termination of our lease and to be out by October 1st.
Okay. I'm giving you a 6-day written non-renewal notice letting you know that I will not be renewing your month-to-month lease. I am giving you a required 60 days notice via this letter. However, in the interest of it, I will extend the 60 days to October 1st, which means that you can move easier for you and your family. Lastly, if the property is turned over on October 1st, which he realizes that you didn't have to do, in good and clean condition, I will refund your September's rent in addition to your deposit. Feel free to call me if you have any questions. Do you recognize that document, sir? And is that your signature? I'm checking it with the signature on your answer.
Yeah.
That's the letter that you sent to them.
I don't remember all of that.
Okay, point out any place in that letter where it says that he has to cooperate with your realtor.
If it doesn't say it in that letter, then it's not in that letter.
It doesn't say that in the letter, Mr. Schaefer.
Okay. Then it must have been in the conversation we had immediately after the letter. Immediately.
Let me explain a little bit about contract law to you, sir. You made him an offer in this letter. It's a written offer. He acted on this written offer by moving out on October 1st. So the contract is complete. The only way that you can modify this written contract is by a writing, not a conversation, not a telephone call, not a chat before, not a chat after. It has to be in written form, just like this letter.
Well, you got me there, Judge.
And quite frankly, you know, you actually do understand that not only do you have this letter, but by your own statement, sir, it didn't matter whether he cooperated with your realtor or not, because you haven't put the house up on the market for sale. And the reason you didn't put the house up on the market for sale is because you said you were doing work on it to make it more attractive. You added a bedroom, you made closets so that you could say it's a 6-bedroom house or a 5-bedroom house or a 8-bedroom house instead of what it was in order to comply with code. So you haven't even listed it for sale. So that if you said to me, well, I listed it for sale, and we discussed that given COVID, I would give him notice and I would keep the showing short, you haven't even listed it according to you. So how you actually dare to say that your defense is that he didn't cooperate with a broker when he's been out of the house for 2 months and you haven't even listed it yet? That's what you just told me a moment ago. So how was he supposed to cooperate with your broker?
He was supposed to cooperate.
Other than the fact that you snookered him. Yeah, go ahead.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What is this useless broker here? He has nothing else to do with his time than go and look at your property?
That's right. And he was supposed to allow...
Jonathan and Sarah Santibanez are accusing their former landlord, Dave Schaefer, of reneging on an agreement to return their rent and security deposit.
Now, you haven't even listed it according to you. So how you actually dare to say that your defense is that he didn't cooperate with a broker when he's been out of the house for 2 months and you haven't even listed it yet? That's what you just told me a moment ago. So how was he supposed to cooperate with your broker?
He was supposed to cooperate.
Other than the fact that you snookered him. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
He was supposed to cooperate, fully cooperate, and I remember talking...
What was he supposed to... No. Schaefer.
Yeah.
What act was he supposed to do to cooperate with your broker?
He was supposed to allow the broker to look at it whenever the broker wanted to. He was supposed to allow...
What? Just a second. Schaefer, for what?
So the broker would see it.
For what? To look at it because he had nothing else to do but look at your house? It wasn't listed for sale and hasn't been listed for 2 months. He moved out October 1st. All of October and all of November, you haven't listed it. What is this useless at your property?
That's right. And he was supposed to allow the...
Then you have an idiot for a broker, and so are you. You own $4,050. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Okay.
We're done. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
Well, I always heard she was going to tear me apart, and she did.
I'm very pleased with her decision. You know, we are good tenants. We paid our rent on time every month.
These very nice people did not cooperate with the broker in allowing him to go see it.
We were shocked when he would not refund what he said he would give us, which is his word in writing.
When he called quite often, 4 or 5 times, they didn't even answer his calls.
I mean, and especially during COVID-19 when you don't want people in your home.
He was supposed to let the brokers see it.
You don't want to be outside the home. You don't want to be showing the home.
He did not show them any cooperation, not only not full cooperation, not any cooperation.
I think it was a good ruling on Judge Judy's part.
All parties in the matter of Foley versus Mounier. Step to the podium, please.
21-year-old Emily Foley is suing her former friend and roommate, 24-year-old Amber Mounier, for failing to return her portion of a security deposit for an apartment they never moved into.
Miss Foley, you and the defendant were friends for a long time and recently decided to rent an apartment together. You located an apartment lease or just the defendant?
Both of us.
And you were supposed to move into this apartment on
September 5th was our move-in date.
Okay. In order to accommodate that, you gave the defendant $1,400 and you transferred that into her bank account. Do you have proof of that?
Yes, I do.
Would you please take it out?
This is the total that I gave her. The $300 and the $1,000 was towards the deposit on the apartment, and the $145 was $100 for a $200 holding fee and $45 for a credit check fee. And the $50 was a personal loan that...
Just a second. Okay. A credit check fee?
Yes, for the...
Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Okay, I got it. At some point, the apartment complex that you were leasing from notified you that the apartment would not be ready on the move-in date that you were given in the lease, and the apartment complex gave you the option of backing out of the lease.
Yes.
You decided that you wanted to back out of the lease.
Yes.
You no longer wanted to go forward with it. And what you are suing for is the return of the money that you sent to the defendant, because the defendant seems to acknowledge that she received that money. Correct.
I didn't receive everything back. I did receive a portion of it.
How much did you receive back that you can prove to me?
The only thing I didn't get back was the holding fee and both credit check fees.
And I would assume that you wouldn't have gotten the credit check fee.
Yeah. They told us we weren't going to get that back.
What was
and then
that?
We didn't get
40?
It was
right.
$45 per
right.
person.
Okay. So they did, in fact, return to you most of the deposit that the plaintiff gave you.
Yes.
You said you would return to her only $400 of the deposit, and your reason was that you purchased things, I assume, for the apartment.
Yes.
In contemplation of moving into the apartment together. She was the one that didn't want to go forward with it if you had to wait 2 weeks, and you got stuck with stuff that you would not have otherwise purchased. Like what?
A kitchen table, and then I did the renter's insurance.
Just a second. Where is the kitchen table and chairs?
I had to end up getting a new one because that one was too big, and I had to move. I was already set to move.
No, look at me. You bought a kitchen table and chairs.
Yes.
Was it delivered?
No, I stopped the delivery.
You stopped the delivery?
Yes, I couldn't get my money back. They said I could either keep that one or get one that was smaller.
Prove it to me.
Judge Judy continues in a...
That one was too big, and I was forced to keep that and keep buying stuff from them.
Okay, listen. I mean, I may be older than you are, but I know young people think they're smarter. I want you to give me a full sentence answer.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 21-year-old Emily Foley is suing her former friend and roommate, 24-year-old Amber Mounier, for failing to return her portion of a security deposit for an apartment they never moved into.
You bought a kitchen table and chairs.
Yes.
Was it delivered?
No, I stopped the delivery.
You stopped the delivery?
Yes, I couldn't get my money back. They said I could either keep that one or get one that was smaller.
Prove it to me.
It says on the very bottom how you can't get your money back.
I see what this is, and I see what you signed, $450 that you paid. Did you buy another one?
I paid $100 more.
Did you buy? The question is, did you buy another one? The answer is yes.
Yes, because that one was too big, and I was forced to keep that and keep buying stuff from them because I was going to lose out on all that money.
Okay, listen. I mean, I may be older than you are, but I know young people think they're smarter. I want you to give me a full sentence answer. The answer is you took this $450, another table that you currently own.
Yes.
Isn't that simple? Look how I said that. Without convoluted, without anything. Did you move into another apartment?
Yes, I did.
And you now have a kitchen table and chairs, right?
Yes.
That cost you $550, that you own it.
Yes.
Good. What else did you buy?
The renter's insurance.
Renter's insurance?
Yeah, we have to have renter's insurance in order to move in, before we could even move in.
Fine. You ordered the renter's insurance, but before the renter's insurance went into effect, you canceled it because you never moved in.
No, we did not move in.
You never moved in. So if you never moved in, there shouldn't be any insurance. You were uncovered because you didn't own or rent the property. Are you telling me you had a loss with insurance that you're going to have to prove?
No, I didn't say that.
You didn't say what?
That I had a loss of insurance.
Well, you just told me. I said, well, did you pay for that you didn't use?
I did pay for it.
You
and
said
it took
renter's
8 weeks
insurance.
to get the money back, Your Honor.
So who cares? I'm trying to figure out what you spent money on. So far, it's nothing. So she's entitled to her $1,400 back, or $1,300.
First of all, I got several text messages from her mother saying that it was $1,200, $1,691.
I just want to know how much. You just showed me what you received from her.
This is what I received. I have my bank statements. Because when it transfers, it doesn't go directly. It, takes money out of it when you transfer it to your account from Cash App.
She showed me what she sent to you. Are you disputing what she sent to you?
Yes.
What specifically are you disputing? The $1,000?
No.
Are you disputing the $300? What are you disputing?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
She showed me what she sent to you. Are you disputing what she sent to you?
Yes.
What specifically are you disputing? The $1,000?
No.
Are you disputing the $300? What are you disputing?
So, Your Honor, when it gets sent through Cash App, when it gets transferred to your bank account, it takes a portion of it out. So I didn't get that full amount.
What
Your
portion?
Honor?
What portion? Just what portion?
It ended up being...
Just what portion? If it was $1,000, how much did you receive?
$990.
$990.
Yes.
Okay, that's $10. Okay. And how much of the $300 did you receive?
It was $990, and then
She returned $400 to you.
She returned nothing to me, Your Honor. And if I may, Cash App takes a percentage out when you choose to instantly have it. It takes 2 to 3 business days, but it's a choice to, that percentage that they take out. You can choose to have them not, and you can get the full amount that I sent her. That was her choice to have it instantly. It was not.
$1,350. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished. Thank you very much. We're done.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
And on the next Judge Judy.
It was just so awful. I just couldn't take it anymore because he was cursing at me and yelling at me.
That, sir, is not a demonstration of someone who's in fear.
Judge Judy.
I believe it was the right decision. I put money towards an apartment. We didn't get the apartment. I got my money back.
I don't mind her decision. I don't owe her anything. I don't really care.
Honestly, I was glad that the apartment wasn't ready in time because her true colors came out before that.
This happened for a reason. We weren't meant to live with each other, and that's fine.
A lot of lies came out, and I was, having second thoughts already.
They offered us that we could even get a different apartment, that we could move in that day, and she didn't want to do that. She wanted that specific apartment.
When the opportunity presented itself,